So, Paul, give me your side of the story.
Well, man, it was crazy. I don't even really know how to explain it. From what I remember, we were driving past Area 51 trying to get to El Paso, and the alien border patrol sent their spaceship, laser beamed our tire, and the sparks from that lit the van on fire. All our gear burned, but thankfully we survived, and I'm here to tell the tale. They try to fight us, but you know, the truth is too powerful for these fake mongrels, so we just had to fight them, and we prevailed. All hope is not lost. Live music will prevail. Thank you from Paul Val and The Truth.
2019 was a remarkable year for Austin music, and here's what happened as fast as possible. South by Southwest did not coincide with UT Spring Break and unfortunately ended with 24 hours of gun violence, and an infamous 10 days of the same struck the Red River Cultural District, prompting a Safer Venues Festival. But one venue in the RRCD wasn't safe from the drama as Beerland closed, followed by Far Out Lounge opening, Hard Luck Lounge closed, BMI opened, Old Tarf Music Lab closed, the Spider House ends live music in favor of arcade games, Empire bought the land the club stands on, Waterloo Records building was bought by Endeavor, ACL Live and that whole block was purchased by the Opry, and Ryan Garrett brought us full circle when he took over the lease for Beerland, but dropped the bomb of live music only being on the weekends. Which brings us to the hit soap operas this year. Preceding the closure of Beerland, we got to witness a social media reality show debacle that was Real World Beerland, when the staff stopped getting paid and things got real. But not as real as the saga behind Beerland with Crack Alley, or the general sad story of Austin's battle with homelessness. And the city saw its fair share of music news, with the state failing to pass the Texas Music Incubator program at the start of the year to approving hot funds for commercial music to Prop B causing a stir, but ultimately being defeated in a low turnout election. The Creative Space Acquisition Fund was approved as well, marking the first city money available for for-profit music venues. In other news, the Austin Public Library launched Electric Ladybird, their music streaming platform for Austin-only artists. The Black Pumas got nominated for a Grammy, while DJ Heliella got booted from the domain for the type of crowd, showing that Austin is still very much Austin. Rachel Raskow took over the scene column on the Chronicle, Chad Swiatecki started Noises and Signals, and finally, Gary Clark Jr. made us all proud by appearing on The Voice. Role models.
Whoa, that's the best lick ever. I wonder if anybody else would like this as much as I do. Hey, Andy, I've got this great lick. Check it out. What do you think?
I've heard that a million times.
Okay then. Hey, Jake, I've got this great lick. Check it out. What do you think? Isn't it great?
I think you're doing it wrong. Why don't you try it down a couple of octaves?
Oh, okay, I guess.
See you on Spotify.
Well, maybe this isn't the best thing ever. I guess nobody likes this but me.
Hey, was that you playing just now?
Yeah, sorry. I'll stop. I'm just gonna give it all up anyway.
No, please keep going. That sounded great. I've had a terrible day.
Really? Okay, I guess.
Wow, that was the best lick ever. Overloud released their top 100 Austin songs of the 2010s, and we're going to play an Austin musician bingo game. So many Austin musicians play in multiple bands. Let's see how many you're in. The one in the most bands on the list wins a cartoon trophy, Austin Music's Town Bicycle. Kevin and Netta from the Chronicle went on Spectrum News talking about the changes to the Austin Chronicle marketing campaign, also known as the Austin Music Awards, and Kevin really impressed me by showing so much support for the other journalists up for Journalist of the Year.
One of the exciting categories is Best Music Journalist, and as you see here, you have just somebody and then blah, 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 blah. Kevin Curtin.
Who's that?
There's a new Austin Music podcast, go figure. Live Music Capital with Eric Lycum. And Raul Adrian Ochoa is starting a new songwriter-focused series, Duets and Dynamics. Mandy Rowden, founder of Girl Guitar, went on Austin After Hours to teach Taylor Ellison how to play guitar, and it was highly entertaining. Charlie Jones steps away from C3, and who cares? I'm just talking about this so I can show you this picture. This is C3, the largest music festival producer in the world. Look at this picture with your eyes. Okay, got it? Moving on. In other news, apparently there are more people playing South by Southwest than are not playing. NPR put out an article the other day solely focused on those playing South by. It's pretty cool though. They're putting together a playlist with all the South by Southwest artists, and I mean, wouldn't it be interesting? How much oversight are they really going to have over the submission process? If they had 100 people, that's still a couple hundred bands per person. I wonder, since they're asking for MP3s and not just like verified Spotify accounts, if you labeled all your songs as South by Southwest artists featuring your band, what are the chances you might end up on that playlist? I mean, have you seen the number of bands playing this year? It's now up to, I think, if I have the latest numbers, physically impossible for any one person to know and recite the bands playing. I mean, a guy recited 31,811 digits of pi, and that's the all-time record. And there are at least 32,000 bands booked for South by this year. I wonder if eventually it'll just be bands, no more fans, and bands will become like friend groups. You can float in between, but everybody's got a record. And speaking of everybody having a record, last year, Delville High formed a record label. Yeah, that's right. A high school is going to be making records. And you thought your competition was stiff now. Just wait till these TikToking techno-savvy kids have the means to express themselves through recorded music. Seriously, this is what we should be teaching. Not this in one ear and out on the Scantron stuff we do now. These kids are going to learn the valuable lessons you learn making records, like how to bring an idea to life in collaboration with many other creative people, troubleshooting systems they don't know, managing egos in a creative team environment, and honestly, what better way to learn about sex, drugs, and rock and roll? Now, you guys with recording studios and a few extra pieces of gear laying around, if you're feeling extra generous, let's hook this school up and give them the equipment they need to blow us all out of the water. This is one of the reasons I'm so optimistic about Austin's musical future. And finally tonight, I came across a very thoughtful article on KXA Insight by Russell Falcon and Tim Miller. How secure are Austin's bars? And that really got me thinking. I've been loading out in Austin and somebody that was armed grabbed my arm and spun me around. It happened to be a cop who thought I was parked illegally, but it could have been the end. Seriously though, Austin is becoming more and more like an open airport. Why don't we have metal detectors at the bars? I mean that sincerely because I hadn't given it a single thought before I read this article. With everything that's going on today with all the gun violence, the city and some venues are being proactive with training and drills, but are we doing enough? Do you feel safe going downtown? I don't want to have to roll out in my next Austin gig like Antonio Banderas and Desperado. I genuinely would love to see your thoughts in the comments down below. Are we doing enough? And would metal detectors actually help or hurt live music attendance? And how would that compare to the effect the smoking ban had?
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the transparency capital of the world, it's the Damn Tonight Show, featuring tonight's guests, Justin Douglas, Chiquita B, and Jamie Howard. Now here's your host, who thinks this is gonna work, Colin McDonald.
Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. Let's just jump right into some headlines. Jerron Marshall released an EP called The Gold Tape Volume 1, and he is one of the first guests on this show before it was animated. And then he got nominated for a Grammy. Coincidence? Yeah, 100%. Austin Uncharted released their newest video with Trouble in the Streets, recorded at King Electric, and this thing sounds phenomenal. Body Rock turns 10 years old, and Kidada, Chaka, and DJ Chorizo Funk continue to shine as role models for our creative communities. Congratulations to y'all, that's a really big deal. The Breaks has become the #1 rap show in Austin, and I have to say I'm extremely thankful they finally went to podcast form so I can listen. The Rolling Stones are coming to Austin, but don't worry, it's okay. We will eventually be able to get some big name acts soon because we're getting our very own Central Park.
Well, it's no secret. Austin's a music city, and now you can expect to see some top artists performing.
Waterloo Greenway announced its partnership with C3 Presents and Live Nation for its new amphitheater at Waterloo Park.
We've been missing the size of 5,000.
And to add to the worry, I've also seen this spun as, don't worry, it's a place for local music too.
A C3 spokesperson says they're planning to put on about 35 shows here a year.
A diverse, eclectic mix of music from international to national touring acts and our local musicians.
Now this thing sits between 12th and 15th on Red River. I wonder how long till we see a push to expand the Red River Cultural District just a little farther north.
Okay, I'm ready. Just do it. Just do it.
Whoa. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Chris on the boat, cut the ribbon, pull back the veil. This is our feature presentation. Your update was successful. Hibernation is over. Spring has sprung. The you-know-what has hit the fan. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's go time. Start your engines. Press any key to begin. We are locked and loaded for bear. The seed has taken root. The water is broken. The timer is dinged. The teapot is whistling. And the fat lady is on break till Christmas. It's March in Texas, and the preseason is over. It's time for the real season to begin. Welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Today is March 2nd. And let's look at some headlines. Now, first up is the biggest headline in the world, the coronavirus.
But we're learning the coronavirus is now affecting Austin's biggest festival, South by Southwest.
So it is not a question of if, but when.
Austin Convention Center says it's adding more hand sanitizers and hand cleaning stations. And they'll clean restrooms, escalators, and door handles more often.
Twitter's banning all non-critical travel because of the coronavirus. According to MarketWatch, that means the social media giant's CEO Jack Dorsey will no longer be coming to speak at South by Southwest.
They've had some festival attendees from China cancel their plans, but that won't affect the festival as a whole.
So do you have an extra $2,000 but don't want to travel all the way to China to get sick? South by Southwest might be for you. Come see the world's most famous music stars contract the world's most viral virus. There won't be any moms complaining about the way the performers are dressed this year. Ever wonder what Lizzo sounds like through 3 layers of plastic?
Here's what's at stake for an event like South by Southwest and the city of Austin. Numbers from organizers show a bump for local businesses. Last year, economists determined South by resulted in more than $350 million worth of an economic impact. More than $180 million of it was directly tied to paid attendance by badge holders. For the festival, more than 12,000 individual hotel rooms were booked.
Seriously, do you really think they're going to give up all that money? We'll see complimentary hazmat suits under each airplane seat sponsored by the city itself before they cancel the cash cow that is South by Southwest. Which brings us to our top 12 reasons to avoid South by. Number 12, S. Number 11, U. Number 10, R. Number 9, I. Number 8, V. Number 7, A. Number 6, N. Number 5, O. Number 4, R. Number 3, O. Number 2, C. And the number 1 reason for the 10th year in a row to avoid South by, parking. Now, Facebook has pulled out of South by Southwest. Wait, don't they have offices here? This is kind of like grandma canceling Christmas at her place because she's not feeling up for it, but then post a selfie from Hawaii with Santa on New Year's Eve. Now, there have been over 20,000 signatures on the petition to cancel South by Southwest, but until that number reaches around 350 million, keep washing your hands, stay inside, and for a limited time, get your own damn hazmat suit. For one easy, immediate payment of $10,000, you can enjoy South by Southwest with no fears of contracting the virus. Side effects may include suffocation. This is really just a trash bag. The Austin Chronicle Music Industry Awards took place last night at Emo's, and you'll never guess who won. The same industry that claims it's dying sure rewards itself an awful lot. If our industry is limited to radio, print journalism, and live venue owners, we're more screwed for the future than we thought. Where's the best videographer? Where's the award for the best Spotify strategy? How about artist manager, music video producer, Instagram account, YouTube channel? The Austin Music Awards just got an update. I think it's well past time the industry awards got an update as well. Now, last night's music commission meeting was, again, incredibly boring. The only real update is that the Hot Tax Working Group decided it would be open to the public now. And I have to say, I'm sorry. I missed the last work group meeting, and coincidentally, this happened to be the meeting where they apparently went around the room and discussed each other's affiliations and potential conflicts of interest. How did I miss this? And why did this have to happen at the one meeting I missed? Live and learn. I'll do better next time. Let's make an effort to show up at these things. I know the all-important music industry awards were happening last night, so I'm sure that's why attendance was so low at the music commission meeting last night, right? It was just poor planning, right? Hello, welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald, and this is the Damn Tonight Show. And on this special episode, we're going to start with bringing out our first guest. Now, you know him as the prolific staff writer for the Austin Chronicle and the best punk rock mandolin player I know. Please give it up for Kevin Curtin. All right, now thank you so much, Kevin, for being here. And for the people that aren't familiar with you and your work, catch us up on where you come from and how you got to Austin.
Yeah, I'm a staff writer at the Austin Chronicle here in Austin, Texas. I grew up in northern Michigan, in a pretty remote, microscopic place. When I was old enough to move somewhere, I moved to Lansing, which is the capital city, and it's kind of like a industrial wasteland type town with a college in it. And that's when I learned to start writing. I did a zine called Rats in the Speakers.
Oh, cool.
Anytime people would come and play in a basement or come and play at Max Bar or come and play a cool show in Detroit, I would kidnap them after they played and ask them questions and then usually just publish like Q&A style interviews with people. That's how I learned how to write. And that took me absolutely nowhere as a professional writer for the ensuing probably about 8 to 10 years. I was just a musician. I traveled a lot. I hitchhiked around the country 2.5 times. I lived in a camper with my girlfriend and traveled around the entire perimeter of the U.S. and did medical studies for money and continued to write the entire time and send it to people and almost was never published Definitely was never paid.
Now, wait, go back to the hitchhiking around the country 2.5 times. Was that a Jack Kerouac thing or what?
It was just to meet different people. And like when you're hitchhiking, you see a lot of like weirdos, and you get people who pick you up and want to like have sex with you in a hotel room or something like that. But for the most part, you're getting picked up by like 4th grade teachers who are cool. Yeah. And they want to like smoke pot with a hitchhiker, you know? And so you meet a lot of cool people. And that was actually the very first time I came to Austin, Texas. A girl named Sam who picked us up said, I have an uncle who owns a recording studio in Austin, and he's out of town and we can stay at his house. And we stayed at a house. I still don't know who it is. It's probably someone who I know now, but like,
of course.
We stayed at a house. I know it was on South 1st Street. I remember I borrowed like a children's bike from the house and rode it down to Barton Springs, and I was like, holy shit, like there's so many cool looking people here. Yeah, like in the Midwest, you know, everybody's kind of homely as a mud fence. And in Austin, it's like all these beautiful people, mind blowing to me. And also the very first day I was here, I met Leslie on 6th Street, and I came to my friend and I was like, dude, I just met the weirdest guy in the world. Well, I think it was a guy. Yeah, that was like, I can't think of a better like introduction to Austin than that right there.
Once you got here, what happened that led you to working at the Chronicle?
When I moved to Austin, I was still living in my camper, and I got a job at Planet K, which is a head shop. And Margaret Mosier, who's one of the best journalists in Texas history. Yeah. She would come in there occasionally to shop or for meetings that she was having at the museum next door. Right. And I would bug her about the Chronicle and like talk to her about recent stories that she read or that she'd written, try to play cool music on the store stereo so she'd be impressed with my musical taste and be like, hey, I'm a writer, can I send you some stuff? That helped me get my foot in the door at the Chronicle. And shortly after I wrote record reviews for maybe a couple months before Margaret found out that she had cancer and they needed someone to take over the music column. And that's when I took over the music column, which I called Playback. I was the 7th person to write it in like a 30-some year history. Oh, wow. And scene columns are pretty rare in alt weeklies. So I took it real seriously and would, you know, sometimes like just try to go all Woodward and Bernstein on like a club opening or closing or like stuff that was happening in music and try to make that kind of my lens of journalism. Of course, yeah. Mixing that with my experiences as a musician. Right. I did that for 7 years until last year, at which point I knew that if I was going to keep doing that column, it would probably kill me because I was up until 4 a.m. every night, and then I'd wake up at 8:50 in the morning and start writing. And I passed it on to Rachel Rasko, who I think's probably the next great writer in town, and I started writing more features.
And that's what one of the things I really appreciate about your writing is that you're coming at it from a musician's perspective. Now, let's talk about playing mandolin in a punk band. I mean, how did that come to be?
Because that was what I knew how to do because my uncles play old-timey music. So rather than electric guitars and basses and stuff being around the house, it was always like a tenor banjo or a mandolin or an acoustic guitar. But I liked punk rock. That's what I had to play it on. And then later when I moved here, I saw that there was people like Walter Daniels, who I play music with now, and he plays harmonica. And I was like, well, this guy's really good at harmonica, but he plays it out of context. He plays it in like garage punk groups or experimental things. And it's like, well, you can play an oddball instrument in a different scenario. And then all of a sudden it doesn't matter how many fiddle tunes you know on mandolin, because you're in a league of your own because you're the only one who's like thought to play it out of a Marshall or something like that. You know, so that's been my operating theory, and it's done better than I could have ever hoped. You know, it's very neat. You know what I mean? Like, you do what you gotta there's so many good people. There's so many good musicians in Austin. We're not famous for having the most routes to success of a city or anything like that, or the like most connected music industry. Right. But there are a lot of really artistic people here, and then there's a lot of people who are really good players. Totally. So you're not gonna be able to be king by just being really good at something, I would say everybody needs to have their own angle and find your opportunities where you can start playing as early as possible or start doing what you're doing as early as possible, because if you want to be a writer, you can self-publish now. It doesn't matter, right? And if you play music, you got to find those all ages spots and the warehouse shows or a house show or however you need to do to start making your art. Don't wait, I would say, because some people make their best stuff when they're 17 years old. And if anybody's like, oh, well, you got to go this careful route, that does not exist anymore.
Not
like
anymore.
I could see that in the 90s or the 2000s, but now it's like, make what you want to make and put it out. And if that doesn't work, change your alias and do it again, you know? And then maybe the third time you're Billie Eilish.
Right.
And to old people, that doesn't sound good. It sounds breathy and like wrong and but like whatever, like 10 million kids like it.
That's what I like about her is she's so specific about her target
Exactly,
market.
right. Yeah, it might not be for me, it might not be for you, but if you can be somebody's favorite band or favorite artist,
right,
you have something going on.
Isn't that the point?
I think success in music is just having enough people that care about your art that when you play a rowdy show or a show where people are paying attention, if somebody covers a song that you wrote, is amazing. Even if that just happens once or twice in your lifetime, it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, it's about making connections, and making connections with like 5 people isn't a great amount of success, but like you shouldn't feel bad about it either. But if you're making connections with hundreds of people and people are paying attention to just what is coming out of your mind, that's pretty crazy, especially in the context of the whole world where so many people have very terrible lives.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just like, well, you don't, oh man, like, you know, I didn't meet my GoFundMe. It's like, well, you don't work in a diamond mine in Africa.
Right.
You know, or you're like, don't work at a iPhone plant in China where people are jumping off the roof during lunch break, you know? So, I don't know. I have a low bar of success. That's part of how I've become successful.
Low expectations are always met.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much, Kevin, for just coming on the show and being willing to come on this special edition show nonetheless. Be sure to check out Kevin Curtin's articles in the Chronicle. Support your print media. We will be right back with Tribe Mafia after this short break. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Broxton and Deshaun from Tribe Mafia. And first of all, thank y'all for being on the show. But what interests me most about y'all, besides what's going on right now, is y'all are true Austinites. So kind of give me your history, kind of up until now, of your history in Austin.
We had been in with other people before, and then it was so different because it's like we kept leaving them people. So when I met him, we already had similar interests, and like, oh, it's not living in the same neighborhood I do. That's crazy.
That's awesome. How
old
one day
that was
15?
Yeah.
15? Nice.
Yeah, long time. Like high school days. That's crazy.
Beatboxing on the table.
Yeah.
And doing a little getting in trouble from the teachers from how you
yeah, you know, it's just in the lunch table was freestyling and stuff, and man, it was fun. It's just weird how we reconnected again. Actually tried to take it serious, and we went with a group all the way in Bastrop. That was like so many people at once.
Right. Yeah,
but they ended up doing anything, so me and him were like, you know what, we just gonna form our own group.
Nice. Mm-hmm. We started off with like a group of 10, then to a group of 5, then to a group of 4, and now it's just us 2. So it goes down as the years progress. We started off making music, doing like really, really small shows when it was just like our moms.
Like 3 people and shit.
It'll be like our 2 best friends. And it'll be our mom recording the show for us.
Yeah.
And then we went from shows to where, every single show we always said, let's get some phone numbers down and let's call them up for our next show. Because they actually like our music. Then we could start, growing our fan base. You
just got started.
So we started doing like pulling in 5 people to 15 to 30 to 60 to packing up the shows. We went from, just doing local shows to creating our own shows. We had just one show called Tribe Mafia Listening Party. And we bring out other artists just like us who wants to build a name for themselves and, actually brand themselves.
You throw the party, and you have power.
Exactly.
You know,
and
and that's awesome.
We provide like free food to help their guests feel comfortable. Nice. It's in a house setting, so it's very intimate. So like, everybody just right in your face, and you can either have them listen to your songs, or you can perform your songs in front of like 300 people.
Yeah.
I think our last listening party had about what, 500?
Yeah, 500 people. It was just in the actual house.
Yeah, it was like
actual house.
But it was like beautiful. It's crazy.
When's the next one?
We're gonna have it in February.
February 2020.
We're gonna be bringing out Def Jam recording label A&Rs. We're gonna be bringing out Universal as well.
Nice. And speaking of giant record labels, y'all just got back from New York like last night. Tell me about that. What were y'all doing up there?
So we were going through with Success. That's one of the A&Rs. Well, he's actually the vice president.
He was the A&R first for them, and then now he moved up to the vice president now. So when we met him, we're like, dang. He's like, I'm glad y'all are here. This is stuff y'all doing. I seen y'all progress. All you gotta do is get more streams.
Right.
If they're online, it's all about streams now. They don't care about if you're great now. That's out the window. He said that's old days now. He like, now everything online, they only care about numbers. They don't even care about your name no more. They just want to see numbers. I mean, if you're making money off your streams and everything like that, you don't need a label because you're gonna have to split between them and your own team at the same time.
Are you completely independent now? Are you signed? Like, what's up?
Yeah, we fully independent.
Fully independent right now. I mean, like you were saying, a label is cool if they're working with you hand in hand.
Yeah, if
it was the 80s.
Yeah. But now they're like, it's like a loan, and if anybody knows, like us being students in college, if you take a loan, you have to pay that back, and sometimes they want interest as well.
Exactly.
So
sometimes,
most of the time, right? Most of the times they want interest, and if you're doing that, it's like you're really not helping yourself. Or
I want to go back to networking because y'all look like networking kings. No, like seriously, from where we're standing, because
that's how we got to Brazil. So
tell me about Brazil. Like how'd that happen?
So South by Southwest, we was networking with some guys. They liked our song Triple Double. They told us, you guys want to travel with us and make music with us. I was like, sure, we'll do that. We love doing that.
Yeah, we did a collaboration. Really cool.
So we did that, and our song Like Cola, I guess it's been going viral like on Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, YouTube, you name it.
But in like other areas, so it was more exciting.
Especially in Brazil. Yeah. And so I guess one of Akon's A&Rs reached out to our team, and they were telling us, do you guys want to come out to Brazil and make a tour with them? I was like, yeah. Sure. So, they covered our flights, they covered our stay, they covered our food, and went out there, and that was our first time performing for a crowd of
60,000 people.
Akon was cool.
Man, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here for sure.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for coming.
Check them out. Tribe Mafia, all over the internet.
We want you to do one thing. We want everybody right now that's watching this to go check out Dat Boy Sam. That's at Dat Boy Sam's Instagram. And we have a video on there that we want you to comment on. We just want you to answer this one simple question.
Should we sign or not?
Dun, dun, dun. Be sure to check out the Damn Today show every day for Who's Playing the Night, Austin music news, music reviews, and commentary at 9. And check out the Damn Tonight show live every Wednesday at 10:35. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live music capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's the Damn Tonight Show featuring rising star, Austin rapper Easy Boy, and the award-winning Spanish sensation Diego the Bull from Bull y Los Buffaloes. Now, here's your host, Colin McDonald.
Hello, welcome to Daily House Music. My name is Colin McDonald, and this is the Damn Tonight Show. Now, 2019 was a remarkable year for Austin music, and here's what happened as fast as possible. South by Southwest did not coincide with UT Spring Break and unfortunately ended with 24 hours of gun violence, and an infamous 10 days of the same struck the Red River Cultural District, prompting a Safer Venues Festival. But one venue in the RRCD wasn't safe from the drama as Beerland closed, followed by Far Out Lounge opening, Hard Luck Lounge closed, BMI opened, Old Tarf Music Lab closed, the Spider House ends live music in favor of arcade games, Empire bought the land the club stands on, Waterloo Records building was bought by Endeavor, ACL Live and that whole block was purchased by the Opry, and Ryan Garrett brought us full circle when he took over the lease for Beerland, but dropped the bomb of live music only being on the weekends. Which brings us to the hit soap operas this year. Preceding the closure of Beerland, we got to witness a social media reality show debacle that was Real World Beerland, when the staff stopped getting paid and things got real. But not as real as the saga behind Beerland with Crack Alley, or the general sad story of Austin's battle with homelessness. And the city saw its fair share of music news, with the state failing to pass the Texas Music Incubator program at the start of the year, to approving hot funds for commercial music to Prop B causing a stir, but ultimately being defeated in a low turnout election. The Creative Space Acquisition Fund was approved as well, marking the first city money available for for-profit music venues. In other news, the Austin Public Library launched Electric Ladybird, their music streaming platform for Austin-only artists. The Black Pumas got nominated for a Grammy, while DJ Heliella got booted from the domain for the type of crowd, showing that Austin is still very much Austin. Rachel Raskow took over the scene column of the Chronicle, Chad Swiatecki started Noises and Signals, and finally, Gary Clark Jr. made us all proud by appearing on The Voice. Role models. Which brings us to our featured story, Free Week. Who do you think this is benefiting? This is designed to help bar sales. Once again, musicians are being used as marketing fodder. It's time for us to change the narrative, and I'm not talking about striking or even saying Free Week is altogether bad. It's just mostly bad. Why are we still relying on venues as much as we are? And further than that, why are we so reliant on alcohol and alcohol sales? So my challenge to you, Austin music community, is to do what the RRCD did and do what so many others do on your behalf every week and every year. Get your own sponsors for your events. Start making the calls. You will hear no a lot more than yes, but that first yes will come. It's time to start throwing your own events, getting your own money, and start winning. Let's make Free Week and its hotter sister, Hot Summer Nights, obsolete by using that same model every show. Get your own sponsors. Let's start finding our own money in town. Or, be like a tree and tour. We'll be right back with Easy Boy after this short message. Have you been the victim of a pay-to-play scheme? Or are you playing for free on Free Week? That's a damn shame. And you should call or text the Damn Shame hotline to help end these deceitful practices. If you or a loved one has experienced any of these symptoms, please call 512-967-3386 now, because that's a damn shame. Let's end this together. Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Easy Boy, one of the hottest up-and-coming rappers in Austin. So, tell me, how did you get the name Easy Boy?
How I get that name, I used to freestyle a lot in middle school. And, one day somebody told me, man, you make that look easy. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to run with it. So my first tape I dropped was 2010 called Clown Season, but I was just freestyling, playing around with it, having fun. Like in 2018, I kind of started myself all over, like push a reset button, and I turned myself into a boss. And 2018, I dropped my first album called TYN. And I've been doing it, out of my own record company, out of my own production and everything. And I just dropped my latest album in November, Griffin.
So yeah, tell me more about the Griffin record. This thing looks like it's really set to take off.
Griffin, the album inspired me so much, man, because one, it's dedicated to my son, and two, my son is co-produced on the whole album. Yes, man. So how I came about it, man, I was just riding. I had a show in Bryan, and I was just riding. I was like, man, I got so much good music. I need the fans to hear this. So I basically just dropped it out the blue. But I dropped it on the right exact date, was November 23rd, which is my son's birthday, and he just turned 5 years old. Awesome. Yeah. So I was doing a good promotion for that, man, and people love the intro. Like the intro, man, it's really telling my story, like, from where I started to where we at now, cause like in the past 2 years, man, a lot has changed for me, man. I've been traveling, I've been on the road, I've been meeting new people. I was an official South by Southwest artist this year, man. And 2020, man, they just don't know what's coming up, Jack. And I'm basically rolling the dice on myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm betting everything on myself. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm gambling with my own. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I didn't took a couple losses. I heard no 100 times.
That's exactly right. Now talk to me a little bit about deciding to take it seriously and treating this like a business, as well as, just getting out of Austin.
Like I said, I've been rapping in Austin. I did every club here and everything else. It was just like, man, it's time for me. I want to see what my music do outside, not just sitting on the internet and just, you know what I'm saying, posting it, bro. Like, I want to touch my fans. I want to see my fans. I want to shake hands. Like, dude, it was so crazy, dude. Like, when I was on the plane on my way to LA for the BET Awards, me and my brother Dot, we in Denver. Bro, I shit you not. These little kids walked up Easy Boy, you know what time? Little white kids like, bro, I got the picture and everything. You know what time it is? Oh my God, man, our plane just delayed. I'm so glad I got to meet you. Can we take a picture? I was like, dude, I never been here before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd never been here before. Like, dude, these little kids just walked up on me and was just like, man, I know you. Can we get a picture? Sign? Yeah, man, we on our way to a basketball tournament. And I'm like, for real? Like, one time, bro, I didn't even know I was my own street team. I used to go all around Austin and post my posters up. So this is a crazy story. My mama drives for the buses, right? My mama drive the bus. She literally, this is when she called me and told me, she literally stopped the bus, got out to go to the pole and seen that. She like, that's my son. She said, that's my son on the pole. Like, bro, she called me. She was just, man, I told everybody at my job my son is on. Yeah, he right there or whatever then. So it's just like things like that just make me proud, man, that I've been working hard. But like I said, bro, it's always, you always tell it's always like, man, I need this, I need 10 people to work with you, but you don't know it's in you. You got 10 people in you. You just got a lot of hustle in you. You just got to get out there and go get it, man. Like how you doing with this right here, man.
You have to work harder than 10 people because you're the only one that cares enough about your art in the beginning. Man, Easy Boy, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to check out the record Griffin wherever you stream music. We will be right back with Austin music history right after this short message. Make sure you grab your tickets and mark your calendars for the Austin Hip Hop Awards January 4th. The Austin hip hop scene is undoubtedly on the rise, and you can be there to see the next big artists. Head over to austinhiphopawards.com to get your tickets and come hang out with me until 3 a.m. Wait, what? Seriously? I'm gonna need a nap. Y'all got like cots or a couch? Welcome back as it's time for Austin music history. Now, the slogan Live Music Capital of the World became official on August 29, 1991, after the Austin Music Commission, formed just 3 years earlier, looked into the data regarding a suggestion by Lillian Stanfield. They discovered that Austin had more music venues per capita than anywhere in the world, and man, have things changed since 91. We're coming up on 2 million people now, and how many venues? How many bands? We have even been challenged a few times, but nothing has ever really stuck. Austin is many things, but one thing will remain the same as it was in the 90s and every time before and every time since. The tension between old Austin and future Austin. Let's not forget right now Austin. This is still the best city in the world at the best time to be alive and making music and history. We'll be right back with Bull from Bull y Los Buffalos. Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Bull from Bull y Los Buffalos. And man, just for the people that aren't familiar with you, kind of give me a rundown on who you are and what you do.
Well, hello, my name is Diego, but everybody call me the Bull because I'm a big man. I'm 6'6", like 2 meters in Europe. So I go by Bull because I'm big and I'm very, very stubborn. So I was born in a small town, a mountain town in Asturias, northern Spain, and I always felt very, very attracted to American rock and roll music, so I decided to move to United States. So in this case, in 2011, I picked LA, thinking that LA was LA, but LA wasn't LA anymore. So I was there like 3 months because I came with my tourist visa. They only allow you to stay in the country 3 months, and I had to move to Mexico City to create a bigger resume and in trying to come back to get the artist visa. So when I went to Mexico with 2,000 euros, my guitar and a suitcase and not even one friend, so it was a wild time. But fortunately, it was a very good time for me. I really like Mexico. It treated me very well. I did 72 gigs, festivals, TV. So I was 3 years touring. When I get a bigger resume, I came back to the United States, this time to Austin, because this time Austin is and was a hot place for musicians. So I decided to move to Austin and fighting for the visa. That cost me another 6 months and pay a lot of money to the lawyers, all the money that I made in Mexico. So finally I get the artist visa in 2015 and I start working here as a musician. And it's been a very wild, good, bad, tough, and happy travel.
So what kind of rock and roll bands were you listening to in Spain at that time?
When I was a kid, the first real rock and roll album that I heard was a Little Richard, a greatest hit. So like good God, Miss Molly. So he was wild, and then Jerry Lee Lewis, and obviously Elvis Presley and Eddie Cochran, Jim Beam. I talk about them oldies. So at the beginning, I was very, very excited about the 50s. For me, it was a new music, and and I didn't realize that 40 years old music. So at the very beginning was the 50s, the oldies, like Eddie Cochran, Jim Beam, all these people. So it was then I started listening to 70s, 60s, but definitely the 50s was the music that catch me very, very hard.
Now, Bull, you've had to go through so much just to be here and to play music. I mean, talk to me a little bit about that drive and the appreciation you have for Austin and just the music scene in general.
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, because it was a very, very long trip. And in Spain, if it's a beautiful and nice country, we don't have the live music scene that we have in Austin or on any city in the United States. So I don't say that it's easy to play here. It is difficult. But man, when I came here and I saw there are 300 bands playing every night, and we have like more than 100 venues for live music, any type of music, and Ham is helping you with the helping students and many things there. I was impressed, and the respect that the people have for us, for the musicians, and how they treat us here as a real professionals and as an artist. I really appreciate that, but it surprised me that 95% of the musicians that I met here, they were complaining about it. So, man, I suggest you go into another country and you realize, I'm not talking about touring, because I'm talking about living and start from zero. And then you realize how many good things we have here, and you will appreciate more the things that are happening, because for me, I have every 3 years I need to renew my artist visa. So the government is checking everything that I do. So I need to be playing and active and doing big things, not just small things, not just, but it's not a small things playing. Don't get me wrong, everything is big in music, but I have to do things that the government, because the visa that I had, they call it, doesn't mean that I am, but they call it extraordinary abilities in music. So I have to prove that for the government that I'm extraordinary. Doesn't mean that I am, but I have to prove that I'm doing extraordinary things to keep living in this country. So that pushes you very, very, very hard.
So what can we look forward to from Bull y Los Búfalos in 2020?
I'm working in new songs, English and Spanish. Maybe for summer I can launch an EP. Okay. I think you need to be active all the time, not like crazy doing things for doing, but with a purpose and with your heart, of course, and with your brain too. But you need to be doing things, and the always that is playing all the time, it doesn't work anymore. And in fact, I think it's a mistake if you're overplaying. And then I think. Every day I think in new strategies that keep me in the business and it keep me happy playing and doing what I love, that is playing rock and roll.
Doing what you love and what you're really good at. Man, Bull, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you back on the show real soon. Be sure to check out Bull y Los Búfalos everywhere you can. They're going to be playing NAMM in January. We'll be right back with the top 5 moments to look forward to in 2020 right after this. Kids in a New Groove's mission is to provide Central Texas children living in foster care with a committed one-on-one mentoring relationship through free weekly private music instruction. Since 2009, King has empowered over 700 youth with music mentorship. Children in foster care are a highly vulnerable and underserved population. Having undergone emotional, sexual, or physical abuse, the children's lives are traumatic before they even enter foster care. King's music mentors and their students build a lasting relationship of support, which helps the students succeed academically, emotionally, and socially. King equips youth in care and concrete tools to show the world and, more importantly, the youth themselves what they can accomplish with passion and dedication. They need your help to continue making an impact. Kids in a New Groove seeks volunteers, music mentors to provide weekly music lessons and mentorship to youth in foster care. For volunteer opportunities and more, visit kidsinanewgroove.org. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. For today's top 5 list, we'll be counting down the top 5 things to look forward to in 2020. Number 5, musicians will start talking about affordability issues right after Free Week. Number 4, there will be talk of various strikes. Number 3, we will remember that we forgot there was a musicians union. Number 2, we will remember to forget we remembered there was a union. And finally, the number 1 thing to look forward to in 2020 is very little, if anything, will change. And that, my fellow musicians, is a good thing. Because I'll say it again, this is the best city in the world at the best time in the history of the world. So do more, better, faster. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. for the Damn Today Show. Thanks for watching.
So, Paul, give me your side of the story.
Well, man, it was crazy. I don't even really know how to explain it. From what I remember, we were driving past Area 51 trying to get to El Paso, and the alien border patrol sent their spaceship, laser beamed our tire, and the sparks from that lit the van on fire. All our gear burned, but thankfully we survived, and I'm here to tell the tale. They try to fight us, but you know, the truth is too powerful for these fake mongrels, so we just had to fight them, and we prevailed. All hope is not lost. Live music will prevail. Thank you from Paul Val and The Truth.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live music capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's the Damn Tonight Show, featuring Henry Invisible and also Rich Bauer and Paul Val. Here's your host, Colin McDonald.
Hello and welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. My name is Colin McDonald, and we're going to cover the Austin Hip Hop Awards in depth next week when schedules can line up. Now, so tonight we're going to jump right into the interviews, and my first guest had quite the trip home from California over the holiday break, and here to tell us all about it right after this. Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I'm here with Paul Val and Rich Bauer of Paul Val and The Truth. And fellas, just introduce yourselves real quick for the people that don't know who you are.
My name is Paul Val Hernandez. I'm a full-time Austin blues rock musician.
My name is Rich Bauer. I'm a drummer and audio engineer, producer. I play with the group Paul Val and The Truth.
All right, and y'all had a very unfortunate incident happen very recently. Tell me about that, Rich.
Our band had just played a show, actually 2 shows, in California. And the van was traveling back to Austin, Texas. Basically, we had an incident, and the van caught on fire. The entire thing burned up, including most of our instruments and my van. We set up a GoFundMe. Thank you for everyone that has donated. The support that we've gotten from the community has been just overwhelming.
In all seriousness, we are very, very grateful for the community, the Austin community, the Texas community, our friends and family. I want to tell a quick story. When we get back to Austin, I go to my local guitar shop, my favorite guitar shop, South Austin Music, and I'm just looking around. I don't tell anybody about what happened, and I'm just browsing amps because, you know, we have nothing to play. And Bill, the owner, pulls me aside and says, I heard about the van. Go in there, grab whatever amp you want, whatever guitar you want, and just pay me when you can. I don't care if it's tomorrow or if it's next year. Just take it, rock it, keep rock and roll going, keep music going. And that was just amazing. I didn't even know how to feel. And I don't think any other guitar shop in the world would give you that Texas hospitality like South Austin Music did.
Absolutely.
Thank you for keeping music alive.
That's right. And tell me a little bit about what y'all have got coming up in 2020.
We're about to release a new EP coming up here in the next month or 2. It's already done. We just have to get the release party date down, and we're really excited to show everyone that. So this new year is going to be really big for us, and we're really excited to keep on rocking.
And apparently nothing can stop the truth, right? Man, thank y'all so much for being here. Y'all be sure to check out Paul Val and The Truth with the links down below. We'll be right back with Henry Invisible right after these messages. Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I am here with Henry Invisible, and you've just been killing it lately. So tell the folks that may have not have heard of you yet just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Henry Rowland. Basically, I've been in bands my whole life. Was in a huge funk orchestra called the Gingerbread Men. Right. We toured the country for about 7 years. This was kind of like late 90s, or yeah, just right around there. And did some pretty big things. Like we played shows with Tower of Power and Maceo Parker we went on the road with for a while, and lots of funk legends, you know. It was an amazing experience. Out of that, I started studying jazz, and ran off to New York, probably about 98, 90, right. And started studying jazz there, did some new school studies, but predominantly it was like on the street, kind of just running around. And while I was there, I caught up with the Strokes, those cats, and I started a band called Star Child. That was a rock and roll trio that we kind of did some shows together, and it was that fuzzy rock thing. And so between jazz and rock and funk and all that good stuff, I've just been basically doing it my whole life.
Right.
And that kind of led up to Henry and the Invisibles, because, you know, I tend to write a lot of music, right. And I got on the production side of things and the engineering stuff.
Yeah.
So, which goes really well with making beats and all that kind of thing. So, that's kind of how it was born, and then I just had to figure out how to do it live.
And you definitely figured it out. Now tell me about your experience with CD Baby Conference last year, because a lot of musicians, you know, complain about the cost and whatever, but you really took advantage of the conference and the situation. So tell me more about that.
I mean, first of all, if you're a musician that has been on the fence about going to that thing, you know, they sell the early bird tickets for less than $100. And like, if you can't spend $100 on the amount of knowledge that you receive from this I think it's 3 or 4 days of a conference, I don't know what you're doing. So how that turned out was, I had bought my ticket, right. And they had announced that they were having this songwriting contest or something. And I didn't know what it was really. Right. And it was sponsored by Isotope, the super awesome company that does those great plugins. The day that the conference started, I received an email that said, drop by this room. It was one of the smaller rooms in the Hilton Convention Center. And I walked in and they said, okay, it was kind of just like the meeting. And they were like, okay, so you need to come back here tomorrow, and we're going to give you 20 minutes to record a song on this Spire Studio, this little recording device.
Did they know you at all?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So they had no idea what they were doing.
And there were 2 categories. There was the band category and the solo musician category. Well,
yeah,
I'm a solo I'm a solo musician, right. You know? I mean, yeah. So I signed up, and the next day I showed up, and it was pretty cool because they had this room of instruments. They had a bass, a drum kit, they had a guitar, right. And I had brought my keyboard, but they had a keyboard, and they were like, okay, you have to use a few of these, and you have to use this studio, and you've got 20 minutes, go. And I'm like, oh, okay, so cool. So I went in there, and I'd already kind of predetermined what song I was going to do.
Right.
So I went in there and I recorded a raw version of the song that I'm about to release myself, called Space and Time. I recorded the first track, then came down and threw some more bass, you know, on top of it, and then did some harmonies, and then did some drums, and did some key synth stuff, and it was done in 20 minutes. And the guys were filming me, and the guys were like, wow, you know, I mean, like we didn't expect that from, you know, the solo guy, right? Yeah. So I said, is that fair? I mean, you know, is that cool? And he said, yeah, no, totally cool. I mean, you're one guy. So story has it, I wasn't in the boardroom, but story has it that they put the song on, and the judges there was a panel. They were like, oh no, you know, not the band category. Put the solo guys on. The 2 camera guys were like, no, this guy, like, you know, they showed him the video and stuff, and so that's how I won the grand prize. It was, and when they called my name, I literally almost fell out of my chair. I sat in the very back because I figured when they didn't call my name, I was just gonna duck out, and I had to go to a gig that night. So I was like, all right, yeah. So I was sitting in the back, and they called my name, Henry Invisible, because that's what I told my name. I told my name. So you know, that was a really cool experience. Awesome. But what I would say is to all musicians is put yourself out there. You never know, like you really don't. And I think that it's important to challenge yourself in that way. I mean, I was extremely challenged with it. But like I said, I just kind of eased up on myself and just let it go with the rough edges. And
now, speak on that, putting yourself out there, because that got you in this amazing position where you're about to play with Bootsy Collins. I mean, tell me more about that. How did that even come about?
I saw something posted by Bootsy Collins, who I follow on Instagram, and he said, audition for Bootsy, send in a 60-second video and hashtag it, audition for Bootsy, and then do a couple of little things like follow his sponsors or something. So I was like, well, I'm in Mexico. I don't have my gear, but I do have these videos that I just did. So let me go edit them, and I'll hashtag it for Bootsy. And I did. And that's what happened. And I didn't think anything of it because he was supposed to announce the winners on Christmas.
Right.
And Christmas came and went. I didn't see any announcement, didn't get any emails. So I figured, all right, oh well. It was fun.
Yeah, and Bootsy maybe saw me.
Yeah, exactly. And nothing happened, and nothing. I wasn't trying to win this thing anyway. It didn't matter. So I was like, all right, cool. And then a couple of days went by. I think it was actually the 28th or 27th. I'm not sure. A few days after Christmas, and I woke up to this post that was like, here are the 5 winners I've chosen out of all these videos. Right. And my name is on there, and I'm like, what does that even entail? Like, I didn't even read really what the prizes were. Right. I just wanted to be like noticed by Bootsy in a way. Funk is my jam, so I was like, oh, this would be great.
Literally the funkiest.
He's Star Child, right? Yeah. He was one of the Star Children. So I was just like, okay, so wow. And then I realized he had liked a couple of my things, and then he followed me, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, right? Oh, actually, I botched that. He liked a few of my videos and followed me, and I was mind blown. Right. And then he announced the winners.
Oh, right.
And so then I was like, wow, this is incredible. What's been really cool, though, is the communication between I'm messaging him, and he's talking, we're having conversations, and I'm really excited because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Did you find out any details about
I did.
Okay.
So I won like a pretty nice package of prizes and some gift cards and such. But the big deal is playing at his happy hour audition at NAMM in California coming up in just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what? No way. What? This is crazy. So now I'm auditioning for Bootsy Collins. Say what? So I didn't have a ticket. But they actually gave us a couple of tickets. Wow. So now my pops and I, we tour the country.
Yeah.
We're jumping in the van and we're heading to Cali. Yeah, we're heading to Cali. Yeah. So, once again, you never know.
Right. And you have no chance if you don't put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Man, Henry, thank you so much for being with us. Check out the full interview later this week on the YouTube channel. We'll be right back after this message. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please go and follow, subscribe to the guests on the show. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Who's Playing Tonight. Be sure to check out Daily Austin Music every day for Who's Playing Tonight at 9, Austin Music News at noon, music reviews at 2, Talkin' Shop at 4 o'clock. And remember, do more, better, faster. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the open mic capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's The Damn Tonight Show. Tonight's guests are Bobby Sharon, George Corbin, and Natalie Fan. Here's your host, who thinks he's right about everything, Colin McDonald.
Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. This is The Damn Tonight Show. Let's jump into some headlines. Overloud released their top 100 Austin songs of the 2010s, and we're going to play an Austin musician bingo game. So many Austin musicians play in multiple bands. Let's see how many you're in. The one in the most bands on the list wins a cartoon trophy, Austin Music's Town Bicycle. Kevin and Netta from The Chronicle went on Spectrum News talking about the changes to the Austin Chronicle marketing campaign, also known as the Austin Music Awards, and Kevin really impressed me by showing so much support for the other journalists up for Journalist of the Year.
One of the exciting categories is Best Music Journalist, and as you see here, you have just somebody and then blah, 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 blah. Kevin Curtin.
Who's that?
There's a new Austin music podcast, go figure. Live Music Capital with Eric Lycum. And Raul Adrian Ochoa is starting a new songwriter focus series, Duets and Dynamics. Mandy Rowden, founder of Girl Guitar, went on Austin After Hours to teach Taylor Ellison how to play guitar, and it was highly entertaining. Charlie Jones steps away from C3, and who cares? I'm just talking about this so I can show you this picture. This is C3, the largest music festival producer in the world. Look at this picture with your eyes. Okay, got it? Moving on. In other news, apparently there are more people playing South by Southwest than are not playing. NPR put out an article the other day solely focused on those playing South by. It's pretty cool though. They're putting together a playlist with all the South by Southwest artists, and wouldn't it be interesting? How much oversight are they really going to have over the submission process? If they had 100 people, that's still a couple hundred bands per person. I wonder, since they're asking for MP3s and not just like verified Spotify accounts, if you labeled all your songs as South by Southwest artists featuring your band, what are the chances you might end up on that playlist? Have you seen the number of bands playing this year? It's now up to, I think, if I have the latest numbers, physically impossible for any one person to know and recite the bands playing. A guy recited 31,811 digits of pi, and that's the all-time record. And there are at least 32,000 bands booked for South by this year. I wonder if eventually it'll just be bands, no more fans, and bands will become like friend groups. You can float in between, but everybody's got a record. And speaking of everybody having a record, last year, Delvell High formed a record label. Yeah, that's right. A high school is going to be making records. And you thought your competition was stiff now. Just wait till these TikToking techno-savvy kids have the means to express themselves through recorded music. Seriously, this is what we should be teaching. Not this in one ear and out on the Scantron stuff we do now. These kids are going to learn the valuable lessons you learn making records, like how to bring an idea to life in collaboration with many other creative people, troubleshooting systems they don't know, managing egos in a creative team environment, and honestly, what better way to learn about sex, drugs, and rock and roll? Now, you guys with recording studios and a few extra pieces of gear laying around, if you're feeling extra generous, let's hook this school up and give them the equipment they need to blow us all out of the water. This is one of the reasons I'm so optimistic about Austin's musical future. And finally tonight, I came across a very thoughtful article on KXA Insight by Russell Falcon and Tim Miller. How secure are Austin's bars? And that really got me thinking. I've been loading out in Austin and somebody that was armed grabbed my arm and spun me around. It happened to be a cop who thought I was parked illegally, but it could have been the end. Seriously though, Austin is becoming more and more like an open airport. Why don't we have metal detectors at bars? I mean that sincerely because I hadn't given it a single thought before I read this article. With everything that's going on today with all the gun violence, the city and some venues are being proactive with training and drills, but are we doing enough? Do you feel safe going downtown? I don't want to have to roll out in my next Austin gig like Antonio Banderas and Desperado. I genuinely would love to see your thoughts in the comments down below. Are we doing enough? And would metal detectors actually help or hurt live music attendance? And how would that compare to the effect the smoking ban had? We'll be right back with Bobby Sharon after this brief message.
Kids in a New Groove's mission is to provide Central Texas children living in foster care with a committed one-on-one mentoring relationship through free weekly private music instruction. Since 2009, King has empowered over 700 youth with music mentorship. Children in foster care are a highly vulnerable and underserved population. Having undergone emotional, sexual, or physical abuse, the children's lives are traumatic before they even enter foster care. King's music mentors and their students build a lasting relationship of support, which helps the students succeed academically, emotionally, and socially. King equips youth in care and concrete tools to show the world and, more importantly, the youth themselves what they can accomplish with passion and dedication. They need your help to continue making an impact. Kids in a New Groove seeks volunteers, music mentors to provide weekly music lessons and mentorship to youth and foster care. For volunteer opportunities and more, visit kidsinanewgroove.org.
Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Bobby Sharon. Thank you for being on the show and being a cartoon.
Awesome.
It's so much
I've never
fun.
been put in a cartoon yet. This is the first.
Nice.
I'm psyched.
So you've been doing this for how long? How long is the
4 years?
4 years. And
4
this
years.
is like twice a week for 4 years?
Twice a week. Lately, it's been because of family issues and the holidays.
Right.
I've been down to 1 episode a week, but man, after this big show comes up and is over with, we're going to go back to 2 episodes a week. Excuse me.
So let's get into the show real quick. So your birthday show is coming up Saturday.
And
you have, I don't know, like every good band in Texas playing the show. Tell me about that. Tell me about the show. Like, what is this thing?
So first off, it's called the CobraCast Birthday Bash Slamboree. It is on Saturday, January 25th over at Come and Take Alive in Austin. And it's actually starring the big band on top is Dangerous Toys this year with Vallejo, Madam Radar, who used to be Texas KGB. Yeah. We call it 333, Blackheart Saints, Dirty Worms, 99 Crimes, Rock Holiday, and School of Rock Kids are going to open it up. So it's going to be a banger. So if you can come on out, man, come out and check this thing out. It's going to be crazy.
And one thing I love about you is everything that I've seen from you is a party.
This is going to be a party.
Let's get back to the podcast.
Yes.
Why the hell are you doing this?
Okay, so the podcast started, I'll give you a date, first episode, September 20th of 2016. And it wasn't really more of, doing it for music.
Right.
I have a lot of comedian buddies out in California and LA, pretty big guys. And every time they would come to town, one of them especially, my buddy Joey was like, man, he goes, everybody in town, you're good with music. He goes, why don't you put something together? I'm like, man, I don't know, So anyways, after that, piece by piece, I started doing it. Got the equipment together, was going on YouTube, how to run the equipment, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, Finally got it together, and we did the first episode, September 2016. The first episode was a nightmare. Yeah. I was running off a laptop, and I had to break, if you go listen to it, there's no video of it, but if you go listen to it, it was broken up into 3 pieces because the laptop kept going down. I just started over. It was such a fucking mess, man. So anyways, here we are, man, in your episode, actually the episode 280, we're going to be recording with you tonight.
Let's look at 2020. What the podcast going forward in 2020, what are your kind of goals? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I want to be consistent, number one, and get content out there, but I want it to be good content. I know we have a lot of, and I base this a lot off of Howard Stern, because if you looked at the beginning of his career, it was all craziness and, strippers and hookers and, midgets and all sorts of stuff, Now he's getting to more serious kind of, interviews and stuff.
Right.
And I'm really kind of aiming towards that. Yeah. Not like I'm going to stop having all the fun up here, my buddies and everything, but guess what it's all about? It's a big party and we have a good time with it. But yeah, more consistent, more, more in-depth kind of interviews with more than just musicians, because I've already had military people up here, I have comedians up here. I had a relationship coach up here. I've had all sorts of shit,
I imagine you're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of give me a highlight of one of the things you've learned.
Just, man, not to let loose your opinions. You know what I mean? Because when I first came in this, I was like so against cover bands and so against tribute bands and all that kind of shit. And now it's like I look at it kind of like, you know what? If you're a musician, you have a band, and you want to go out and play and make money, and you're good at it, you know what? And then you like it, and people like it, you know what? Knock yourself out. You know what I mean? Who am I to say that you suck, or who am I to say that you shouldn't do it because you're playing in a cover band?
To each their own. Man.
And plus, open myself up to other kind of music. I've had rap bands up here, and hip hop bands up here. Dirty Worms have been up here a couple of times.
Nice.
And they're as hard as they come. So pretty much.
So do you play?
Yeah, that's what the deal was when I moved down to Texas in 1991. I was a drummer. And I played in the scene till probably around 2000. Right. And at that point, it started turning into a cover scene, and the tribute thing was sort of coming out. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put it down for a while, go find a real job,
right?
Buy a house, just try to get my shit together pretty much. So I still was in the scene going to see bands, and I knew everybody in the scene.
Right.
So when this thing came up, it was like just an open book of just let's call some people and get it rolling, Nice.
What is your view on kind of where we are in the music scene now and what we have to do to get better?
Well, first of all, we have to realize it's not 1995 anymore. You know what I mean?
Or 1972.
Or 1972.
It's not like give up.
There's too much technology now, man. That's what it is. And I think a lot of it's oversaturation.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this bill that I got this Saturday coming up, and there's going to be competition no matter how big this thing is.
Yeah.
There's going to, I'm sure we'll do well with it. And I think it's going to be it's going to be really a banger of a show. But we're going to have other bands playing around town and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it's oversaturation because back when I was playing, it was you had that one hot show in town every weekend or once a night or whatever. And then it came to right now, it's a thing where you have 20 of those shows, must-see shows.
And you have to make a choice.
And you got to make a choice, yeah, and it's tough. So, my thing is, I like putting on events, not shows.
Right.
I like putting together one big show a year, do this birthday bash and make it as big and loud and nasty as I can. That's my goal for it. I think this year we're kind of proving that.
Yeah.
But I really think, the bands in town really need to, this is my opinion, I'm not saying this is,
please.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is they need to make events. Make it to where the people want to come out and see you. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. Make it an experience, not just come out and see me look at my feet. Like, make it a show.
Yeah, I mean, with this, it's gonna be like gonna be the Olympics of badasses. I mean, they're all going to war on this one. You know what I mean? They are. They're all out trying to outdo each other.
That's awesome.
So that's
what you want.
It's friendly competition.
Competition doesn't mean we're trying to kill you.
Yeah,
it just means I'm trying to win
or have a better band or do a better performance that night or whatever.
That's winning. And then the next day we go at it again.
Yeah,
and let's do this again. Be sure to check them out this Saturday at Come and Take It Live. All the bands that you want to see are there.
And more.
Tickets are available in the links down below. We'll be right back after this.
Awesome.
Now, a couple weeks ago, I promised that we'd have an update on the Austin Hip Hop Awards, and here to give us that is George Corbin. And thank you, George, for being on the show. Just kind of give me an update on what happened with the awards and how the event went.
It went very well. Everything was in order for the most part. Of course, with anything, there will be a few hiccups, but all in all, the show was very nice. I do appreciate everybody that came out, and I do appreciate all of the support that me, my staff, and everyone else received during the event. Hopefully, we can see another decade. A decade, wow, that's a long time to be doing anything in life, but hopefully we can see another decade, more sponsors, more shows, more awards given out, and more positivity for the community. So
thank you so much, George, for being here and for doing 10 years, and here's to 10 more. Now go to the AustinHipHopAwards.com website to see who won each category. And
keep doing what you're doing, Colin, man. You know you my guy, and let's get it going.
We'll be right back with Natalie Fan right after this. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with the prolific Natalie Fan, and for those that don't know who you are, please just give us kind of the elevator pitch of who is Natalie Fan.
Well, I've got like 1,000 elevators, so depending on which one you get on, you're gonna have a different story. But I am Natalie Fan. I am the CEO and founder of On Vinyl Media and SoundSync Music. I do a number of different things. I'm on the board of EQ Austin as well, promoting diversity in the music community because there's just not enough of it. And On Vinyl Media is an artist support organization. We basically do everything from selling artist merch on our website to curating music for local businesses around town, to booking corporate events, which we've been doing quite a bit lately. And then SoundSync Music is a licensing company and one of like 2 in Austin. There's just not enough of that in Austin, and with my experience with On Vinyl doing licensing for corporate businesses, I took that sort of down a different path, and I went to LA, asked a couple of friends like, what's going on here that's not happening in Austin? And it's licensing and publishing. There's just none of that here. So SoundSync Music is my attempt at trying to get local Austin music placed in film and TV.
One of the main reasons I want to have you on the show and talk to you, like, On Vinyl looks to me like what a record label should be nowadays in this new industry, which is basically like a services company. So, like, talk to me a little bit about On Vinyl and how you started it and what the vision for that is.
I started at A and then went to like 2, 3, 4, 5, like it didn't make any sense at all. On Vinyl started as an artist, a local music magazine. So we only covered local music. We covered releases. We covered shows. We were sort of like overload.
Right.
And then I really thought about the value that we were giving artists. And the artists really loved it because they had press, regardless of whether people read it or not. They had something to show people, people out of town, people who were trying to get to shows, like, this is what someone's written about us, and it was really special to them. But then I wanted to take it a little bit further and try to monetize it. So this was around the time, 2015, when they came out with the first music census.
Right.
And they thought about, well, why don't we just ask these musicians how much they make? And then like this pitiful number of $18,000 a year with a second job came out. And then everyone started freaking out, and they talked about there being a music crisis in Austin and how the musicians aren't getting paid anything. And they wrote this huge, I swear to God, it was like 100 pages long, and they did nothing about it. So my idea was, well, why don't we do something about that? So we started with background music, and that was a bigger challenge than I ever thought it would. It still is a challenge. And then we thought about doing artist merch, corporate booking, so all of these different revenue streams. We've been trying to support artists with these things. And yes, I guess you're right. We don't necessarily have a roster of artists, but we try to support the entire community. And we're just doing the best that we can do.
Right. And talk to me a little bit about like the Austin community. I feel like there's really not a whole lot of models for musicians to follow.
There's a mold that we formed as a community. The mold is start a band, campaign to be on the ballot for the Austin Chronicle Music Poll, win. If you win Best New Band, you get automatically entered into the Black Fret roster. Then you win like a grant. You win a small grant the first year, and then you can apply again, or get nominated again, and then get voted on. And if you win, you can win a $20,000, however much it is. That's the mold that we've created for ourselves, and we've been really dependent on that mold. And because you're a Black Fret artist, guess what? Now you, for some reason, your career is validated by people that probably can't do anything for you. I love Black Fret. I love Black Fret. I think that it's great that these people have put their money into something like music. I'm not knocking that at all. Absolutely. I love that model, and I hope that they're successful in Seattle as well. But that can't be our only model as a city. There needs to be other organizations like Black Fret that are helping our musicians as well. And without investment, that's never going to happen.
Natalie, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have you back on real soon, and we're going to talk about the app and all the other stuff you got going on.
Yeah, thank you.
So be sure to check out On Vinyl Media, SoundSync. We'll be right back after this message. And finally tonight, I think we all know deep down that Free Week just has to die. And no, I don't mean the whole concept. I mean the name. Nobody knows if the musicians play for free or if there's no cover. It's confusing, and it has served... It just needs to die. Which brings us to the top 5 alternative names for Free Week. Number 5, Pay to Play Week. For 1 week a year, we actually give you money to go see a local band. Stay for an hour and collect your $10 on the way out. Number 4, Buy a Homeless Guy a Drink Week. Double your impact on attendance and meet somebody new. Number 3, Strike Week. 1, 2, 50 years and we're out of here. Number 2, DJ Week. Just DJs everywhere, all the time, and they can even play local bands' music if they want. I mean, what? You scared? And finally, the number 1 alternative name for Free Week, Silent Week. A lot of people say they want an Austin Musicians Appreciation Week. To that, I say, please no. That falls in this musicians are helpless narrative. But with Silent Week, if you want to be appreciated, put up a parking lot. Because don't it always seem to go, you don't know what you've got.
Yo, what's up, Doc? Heard you wanted to see me, man. I came down as fast as I could.
I'm so sorry to bring you down like this, but we just need someone to identify the body. Brace yourself. It's pretty awful.
Good God, man. What was the cause of death?
Exposure.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live music welfare capital of the world, it's the Damn Tonight Show with tonight's guests, Nathan Olivares and Ruby Dice. Now here's your host, who couldn't care less if you're watching, Colin McDonald.
Hello and welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Let's jump into some headlines. This morning's issue of the Chronicle announced its new design. One of these things is not like the others. Now that's the incremental change we need. In other Chronicle news, they released a trailer for the new Q&A hole, and I have a question I'd like answered. If you had a long-running countercultural weekly newspaper in 2020 covering real issues affecting the community, how would you leverage YouTube to make a difference? Austin artists bring home hardware after winning at the 2020 Grammys. After winning last year's Austin Music Awards, Best New Band, the Black Pumas just couldn't get past nationals. But Gary, Willie, Delbert, and Patty did win, with Gary pulling in 3 awards. Bob Schneider was not nominated. Austin musicians get discounted gym memberships under this new program. Ooh, that's why show attendance is down. It's not the homelessness issues or parking or violence, it's these fat musicians. Seriously, where is this money coming from? Of all the things to make a priority, this is what we choose? Add another tally to the musicians are soft board. Austin for Australia takes place Sunday, and this has really inspired me. I am now announcing Damn Fest, a benefit show for musicians that play benefits. Down on your luck because you played too many benefits? Apply to be a Damn Fest artist, and the link's down below. Submission fees start at 3 easy payments of $19.99. South by Southwest is selling wristbands to locals. ACL gives $100,000 to a local park, really showing that these big festivals care about the locals. Rolling Stone says Tulsa might be the next Austin. This just in. Hello and welcome to Daily Tulsa Music. My name is Colin McDonald. Country music's biggest stars unite at Austin's 2020 iHeart Country Festival. See, who says Austin doesn't attract the biggest acts? Wait, who are these people? And finally tonight, my favorite ad campaign I think I've ever seen by an Austin musician, Eric Berglund. Self-awareness level 1 million. Check him out just on this alone. And now to our next segment, Money for Music. On Monday, there are 2 key meetings to know about. First, at 2 p.m., the Live Music Fund Working Group will meet and discuss, from what I understand, 2 main points: who is eligible for the funds and who will be responsible for distributing the money. After that, at 6 p.m., the Austin Music Commission will meet. Although the agenda is not yet available, there will definitely be discussion on the Live Music Fund and the Agent of Change, among other things. So, what is this Live Music Fund? Well, it's the first ever public money for live music, according to the talking points. Although I think ACA has been funding live music events for a while. Now, where is this money coming from? Well, that's where things start to get just a little complicated. The money is coming from the hotel occupancy tax, which is a 17% tax added to every hotel booking. In August, City Council approved raising the city's portion of the tax from 7 to 9%. The state collects 6%, and there is an extra 2% venue tax voters approved back in 1998 to, get this, expand the convention center. Sound familiar? That's because this most recent 2% increase council approved was yet again attached to another convention center expansion. So you may think, great, we're getting 2 cents on the dollar towards live music, right? Wow, what a great thing the city is doing. Wrong. We're actually getting 15% of 2 cents per dollar. So for every $1,000 collected by the hotel tax funds, the Live Music Fund gets $1.80 out of $1,000. Now, the city estimates the tax increase will generate $21 million per year, giving $3.15 million to the Live Music Fund in the first year, compared to the $14.7 million going to the convention center. But that means the homeless gets $3.5 million too, right? As far as I can tell, that one is off the table, or at least not being spoke about at all, which is kind of interesting. So the next logical question is, where is this money going to go? Well, at the last Music Commission meeting, a few musicians showed up to offer their ideas, and there were kind of 2 main threads I wanted to address. Number 1, venues are bad. I do understand where this mentality comes from, but it's just not usually put in the right context. There were complaints about the lack of transparency.
But what's troubling to me is that there's no transparency when it comes to getting paid by venues in town. You book a show, and the answer to the question of when and how much you'll get paid is always inconsistent.
I agree with Aubrey about the lack of transparency between venues and bands that they hire.
There were even accusations of pay to play.
It was at Empire Control Room. It was a $385 production cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all your money right there, which I think, personally, this hotel tax could go towards those production costs.
Yeah, our friend Sabi had to pay $75 at Empire, and then they said, "Hey, the sound guy really liked your band. Do you want to play here again?" Like, no, thank you.
Okay, I mean, I get it, but let's reverse that. What have you been doing to promote your shows?
And they're in the business of producing the shows, so why are we paying their production costs?
Aren't you in the business of putting on shows? And of course, as always, complaints about the work musicians have to put in.
For the whole time, like for the whole 3 hours that we were there, setting up, playing the show, rehearsal, you know, buying all of our gear and stuff.
And to me, all of these can easily be solved by, number one, use a contract, as in, do not play without one, period. Number two, stop complaining. This is supposed to be hard. Enjoy it. And the second main thread was that we need some kind of registration process for musicians.
One way that I could see doing it is having a registry of bands and a registry of venues, and the bands get paid by the venues a minimum baseline pay that's like pretty decent. It should be decent, and the venues have to meet a quota of bands on the registry in order to get money from the city.
Obviously, that's got to be tracked, and that's got to have a real clear tracking mechanism so we can keep everybody accountable. And not to speak for you guys, but I think over on this camp from the musicians end, they're starting to develop some measures to really do that, and even maybe develop sort of a venue best practices.
But as Gavin rightly pointed out,
we're talking about verified musicians with HAM. We're talking that's 8,000 folks, and we're looking at $3.4 million. So if each musician received $400 annually, that's all we're talking about. So before everybody goes too far deep, $400, not a month, for the year. That would be if this money even trickles to the musicians.
Which brings us to my main concern here. This working group has a potential to define two very important terms. One of which I think they're going to handle really well, which is, what is a music venue? Rebecca Reynolds has done great work on this and had a definition in the Code Next debacle, so I'm hopeful that her definition gets put into writing in some sort of city document. The other term scares me a little, and that is, what is a working musician? They have the potential to define a working musician in city documents for, as far as I know, the first time ever. So, given Austin's history and our tendency towards inclusion, which is almost always a good thing, I wonder how inclusive this definition will be. I'm sure there'll be a lot of criteria thrown around, like how many gigs a year, live and studio, licensing, etc. But one thing matters, in my opinion. It's the percentage of the household income. How much of your livelihood are you making with music? I think that's really the only metric that matters when you're considering what a working musician is, because before a certain percentage, which is debatable, you're not even in the minor leagues, you're playing in a company softball league. And that's exactly what you should be doing, getting better so that you can graduate up a level, not complaining about, well, anything, really. But as far as the Live Music Fund is concerned, please remember, not only is this going to be a months-long process and the Music Commission can only make recommendations to City Council, you have to also consider that 2% of 15% of 2 pennies.
I don't think that people understand how little money is being made.
We'll be right back with Nathan Oliveras right after this. Hello and welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Nathan Oliveras. Thank you so much for being here.
It's awesome.
Kind of give us your story. How did you get to Austin?
Well, my name is Nathan. I got here as soon as I could. I told my dad I was going to run away from home and be a rock star, and I was raised in hell in Corpus Christi. My dad says, "You don't have to run away, boy, and I'll drop you off." And he goes, "Let's go." And I said, "No, Dad, Tuesday." And so Tuesday came around and boom, he kicked the door in and I said, "Let's go, boy." And so I packed a duffel bag. I think I had my 12 string. he dropped me off here on the drag. So playing on the streets, meeting lonely women on the weekend at the original Antones, so I could shower and have a place to be clean. And then on the week, started talking to clubs and playing for free for food and tips, and just have been there for that long. Let me see, Armadillo, Raoul's, Liberty Lunch, all the things that everybody loves and misses nowadays were in full swing.
Wow. So you've really kind of seen everything. Like, tell me kind of how has Austin changed over that time?
Well, I think the thing that's different, there's been a lot of people with money here. And one thing you can either fight or you can embrace is people with money usually make the rules.
Right.
So then what you end up doing is you end up using their rules to benefit you. And that's one thing that people don't have a grasp on because they're still missing what is or what was. I have no better opportunities than I do right now.
Right.
The reason I keep bringing this stuff up is because it's like this thing where the city wants to give everybody money,
Yeah.
you know? And hey, man, if I'm on top of my game and I do if I do me right, and I'm the perfect business model of what I can be,
right,
I may get my hand on some of that, you know? And so for me, that's exciting for people who are saying there's going to be more rats in the street, you know, looking for crumbs, and I understand that. But then before there are crumbs, right, there is the big chunk of cheese.
And I totally get that. And it takes me back to the metaphor I've said, I think, for a long time, is between the musicians and the venues and just the creative culture, it seems like we're all trying to fight over... We're all fighting over the crumbs, but nobody's asking who's eating the bread.
Right. The people making the rent.
Yeah.
And those are the people with the money.
Yeah.
But then in the big picture right now, you have got to be really, really good if you think that you're going to make a living at this.
And that's the way it should be.
Too many people are weekend warriors, and they think that they're the best thing since popcorn. And maybe they do play like Van Halen. Maybe they do have chops. Man, but you're not working it. Right. You know, you're not out there every day bleeding, stressing, wondering how to make the scene yours. Right. And then everybody says, the scene. That word is a bad word, the scene. Well, then let's just change that into our music community.
Same thing.
How do we make our music community better?
Right.
And the better we are as a community, the better the whole community is.
That's right.
And so then that's what I'm really, I love the dreamers, and I am one of them, and I love the realists such as yourself who are giving the stone cold facts without the dream in it, right? And I appreciate it
without the wish.
Right, without the wish.
I can still dream because that's on me.
Because it's not wishing, you're actually doing.
Exactly.
So then that's what we need to turn this into now, is not wishing but doing. And then without the expectation of being a star already.
And that's right. And that goes back to a community doing for each other without expectation of something in return. And that kind of support is hard to come by. But
so then it's all about like digging the people that you get a chance to play with. And that's and supporting your friends. And speaking of supporting friends, I do have two bands.
Yeah,
and the love of my life, my 12-string progressive band called Stupid Drama.
Right.
And then there is she's like my dirty girlfriend, Dancer,
right,
which was started in 1987 with Jody Champion. Even if you don't go see me, guys, if you would, once a month, go check out your friend's band.
Right.
Or better yet, walk into a club that you wouldn't normally go into.
That's right.
The only way that we're going to survive is by supporting each other.
Amen.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And even if we're not, we're your problem now because we're still here. So
we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere, man. We're doing stuff like you can't get rid of us still.
That's right. Man, thank you, Nathan, for being on the show.
Thank you very, very much for this opportunity to chat with you.
Man, be sure to check out Stupid Drama and Dancer. We'll have the links down below. We'll be right back after this message.
Man, thank you, dude. Thank you.
Kids in a New Groove's mission is to provide Central Texas children living in foster care with a committed one-on-one mentoring relationship through free weekly private music instruction. Kids in a New Groove seeks volunteers, music mentors to provide weekly music lessons and mentorship to youth in foster care. For volunteer opportunities and more, visit kidsinanewgroove.org. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Ruby Dice, who just has so much going on and is playing so much around Austin. So, Ruby, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And please just tell everybody just kind of your story and how you got to Austin.
Well, I moved to Austin from Colorado, and I decided to have a kid job for a minute. I had the big girl job, and I was that got boring real quick. So I was running a dessert shop and a coffee shop for my parents. So yeah, it was fun. Awesome. It was fun. I'm an official chocolatier. I had a plaque. Oh yeah. Awesome. They give you those.
That's awesome. So when did you make it down to Austin?
2012. No, I just moved here specifically for music, and I figured if I messed up too bad, I had a sister in Houston, so it's not too far of a drive.
So what was your experience like when you first got here? Like, what was the first?
Oh, it was wild, man. My first I got here and I was like, I want to work outside. So me and my buddy started a lawn mowing business in Texas in July.
Oh yeah.
And it was really hot. It's a little warmer here than Colorado.
Right.
But I got my first gig that way, and it was playing a private dog party for these really like rich petroleum people that I mowed their lawn earlier in the day, and they're like, "You play music? Come back out!" And a dog peed on my speaker and everything.
So and have you just been, when you first got here, were you playing with a bunch of other people? Were you doing your solo stuff?
You know, it's been a mix. For a long time, I was just playing bass with other people. Right. I didn't really sing until like a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then I had a bandmate try to push me in that way, and people seemed to like it, so I just kept writing songs and singing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So why bass guitar?
Well, I grew up in church. My dad's a preacher.
Nice.
And they needed a bass player at the church. I thought it was really dumb at first.
Right.
And I started playing a rock and roll band, and I kind of fell in love with it.
Nice. And you really did fall in love with it. Now you're playing all the time in Austin, making a living, right?
Oh, it's a grind. It's definitely a grind. I'll double up on gigs if I need to. Right. You know, I just don't say no to work.
Yeah.
So if there's work coming in and I'm free, I'm doing it because I know there might not be work the next week. That's
the attitude you have to have.
So far, I've lucked out.
Nice.
On like having a lot of opportunity. I think being a female bass player helps me out in the long run, because that's something people look for.
Right.
My playings, when I moved to Austin, I didn't know how to walk a bass line. You know, I was a baby player for sure, and I got yelled at the blues jams by the old cranky guys for a couple months, and I went home and I practiced, and they told me I couldn't do it, so I practiced harder.
Nice.
And then
that's how you get better.
No, playing every night and playing every day, you know, you're just gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you play that much.
That's right. And talk to me, like, tell me one of the biggest lessons you've learned, or maybe one of the biggest mistakes you've made.
Yeah, biggest mistake. My biggest mistake for me, you know, honestly, over the years was not realizing what projects were worth my time and which ones weren't.
Right.
You know, like I've definitely had a lot of like dumb loyalty to certain projects, and it's like you got to realize, like,
that's a great point.
If you got bandmates just getting hammered every night and just not taking it seriously, it's probably not worth your time. You know, you can't be everybody's babysitter or even like, so I know a lot of people that get sucked into that, and it's like you're not gonna go anywhere if it's like that kind of lifestyle is it just gets people in patterns, and they repeat.
It's a
every
trap.
day. Every day's the same, and it's you got to watch out for that in the music business.
That's right. Man, thank you so much, Ruby, for coming on the show. Be sure to check out Ruby Dice, playing all over the place with all kinds of people. We'll be right back after this message.
Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Do more, better, faster.
That was weird. Did you hear that? Mom?
Whoa, that's the best lick ever. I wonder if anybody else would like this as much as I do. Hey, Andy, I've got this great lick. Check it out. What do you think?
I've heard that a million times.
Okay then. Hey, Jake, I've got this great lick. Check it out. What do you think? Isn't it great?
I think you're doing it wrong. Why don't you try it down a couple of octaves?
Oh, okay, I guess.
See you on Spotify.
Well, maybe this isn't the best thing ever. I guess nobody likes this but me.
Hey, was that you playing just now?
Yeah, sorry. I'll stop. I'm just gonna give it all up anyway.
No, please keep going. That sounded great. I've had a terrible day.
Really? Okay, I guess.
Wow, that was the best lick ever.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the transparency capital of the world, it's the Damn Tonight Show, featuring tonight's guests, Justin Douglas, Chiquita B, and Jamie Howard. Now here's your host, who thinks this is gonna work, Colin McDonald.
Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. Let's just jump right into some headlines. Jerron Marshall released an EP called The Gold Tape Volume 1, and he is one of the first guests on this show before it was animated. And then he got nominated for a Grammy. Coincidence? Yeah, 100%. Austin Uncharted released their newest video with Trouble in the Streets, recorded at King Electric, and this thing sounds phenomenal. Body Rock turns 10 years old, and Kidada, Chaka, and DJ Chorizo Funk continue to shine as role models for our creative communities. Congratulations to y'all, that's a really big deal. The Breaks has become the #1 rap show in Austin, and I have to say I'm extremely thankful they finally went to podcast form so I can listen. The Rolling Stones are coming to Austin, but don't worry, it's okay. We will eventually be able to get some big name acts soon because we're getting our very own Central Park.
Well, it's no secret. Austin's a music city, and now you can expect to see some top artists performing.
Waterloo Greenway announced its partnership with C3 Presents and Live Nation for its new amphitheater at Waterloo Park. We've been missing the size of 5,000.
And to add to the worry, I've also seen this spun as, don't worry, it's a place for local music too.
A C3 spokesperson says they're planning to put on about 35 shows here a year.
A diverse, eclectic mix of music from international to national touring acts and our local musicians.
Now this thing sits between 12th and 15th on Red River. I wonder how long till we see a push to expand the Red River Cultural District just a little farther north. Now to the main story where we revisit money for music. Last Monday, the working group met and then the Music Commission was held at City Hall. I attended both meetings and here's a summary. Remember, this is the group that will make a recommendation to the Music Commission about how to spend the $3.15 million so that the Music Commission can, in turn, make a recommendation to City Council to actually take action. The work group meeting was largely uneventful, but started off kind of fun for me. I asked if it was cool to film the meeting since City Hall wasn't going to be there to film, and they voted yes, with the caveat of if they told me later I couldn't post it, then I wouldn't. But nobody said it. We'll get to that in a minute. The first hour was spent on that vote, choosing chairs. Catlin Whittington won chair as 10-1. Chris Flores was voted the vice chair at 8-3. And later it was decided to retroactively appoint a secretary to take notes, and Ann Charlotte Patterson volunteered for that role. There was a lot of talk about when and if to involve the community input outside of surveys on Speak Up Austin, which haven't really done that well as far as results in the past. The current one closes at midnight tonight, so be sure to head over and fill it out. The meeting concluded with the group identifying the information they needed to move forward and ways to get that. But the most telling quote made it into the Chronicle on Thursday. From Catlin Whittington, honestly, if the hotels are behind it and we come up with a good plan and put it forward, and it's generally speaking within state law, the Attorney General's office wouldn't get involved at all. Until somebody cries foul. So yeah, that's a thing. We'll just leave that right there for now. And back to the transparency thing. After some back and forth with the city representatives and attendants, it was finally decided in the meeting that since Texas is a single-party consent state, there's nothing they can really do about me filming the meeting and posting it. So the full meeting will be available right after the show, and let me tell you, it's a snooze fest. But anytime somebody says, "Don't look over there," I'm gonna look. And after that, the Music Commission meeting took place, and really nothing of substance happened. I did go up and talk, because you can do that. Really, just show up, sign up, and you can say whatever you want for 3 minutes.
And we also have speakers signed up for this item as well. Colin McDonald.
Hello. So, I just wanted to speak real quick on the hot funds and everything. And I have a really unpopular idea that I think would be awesome if we did, but it will never work. But here it is anyway. What if we as a music community came together and said, no thanks. Use this money for the other issues in the city that are affecting the quality of life in the city more than musicians. My main point there is I'm a musician. I make all of my income playing music or doing something with music. It's we choose this life to be musicians. Somebody that's struggling in the city because of circumstances that they don't choose, I think should take priority over musicians. Also, if we did that, it would be the greatest marketing campaign for Austin musicians ever. Because what musician have you ever met that gave up money? The answer is none.
Lots.
But this much, this much, and that's and I'd love to see examples and let's get into it. But like, how cool would it be as a community if we came together and said, no, we got this. We're going to figure this out through defining venues, which I think is the smartest idea ever, because a shop bar is not a venue. It's not a music venue. And to the point of everybody, a lot of people saying venues are the enemy. Being a musician, we choose this life knowing there's virtually no money in this. I venture to say, and I know a few venue owners, if you start a venue with the focus being on live music, you're probably not starting it to become a millionaire. These people are struggling like we are. They're trying to do really cool stuff like the Rainy Street. There's a lot of great actors, and most of the venues we would all consider as music venues are doing all right. Sure, they could use a little punch in the right direction every once in a while, but we throw shop bars and nightclubs into the music venues, and that's where we start to get really confused and where we start to draw lines, which we're all on the same team. We're all doing this because we love this so much we can't do anything else. So wouldn't it be cool if we gave all the money back? I know that's not going to happen, so here's an actual plan for what to do with $3.15 million. Could be a statewide or just in Austin, whatever, but a marketing campaign that educates the public about the music community. And what I think back to is Sarah McLachlan's pet commercials that pull on your heartstrings. Combine that with the old "Don't Mess with Texas" ads, and like the crying Indian at the end of the ad. Like, let's teach these people that what we're doing is super hard. It's integral to life as we know it, art in general, but we're not asking for a handout. We could actually make a marketing campaign that educated the public. The musicians do need to be educated about their business and things like that. I don't think it's the city's job to do that. I think it's the musicians' job to do that themselves because they're a business. The public, on the other hand, needs to be educated, and especially on sensitive issues like this, I think that falls in with what the city can actually do. So $3 million on an ad campaign over a year is actually not that much for an ad campaign, but I think it would do wonders and more than just $400 in a musician's pocket. That's all. Thank you. Now, the full video of the Music Commission meeting is available in the links down below. You should check it out. There's some good stuff in there, although it is kind of hard to get through. We'll be right back with Justin Douglas after this. Hello and welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I'm here with Justin Douglas from King Electric Recording. And Justin, you just got an article published in Tape Op called Working Happy. And just you tell me all about that, because that's just amazing.
Initially, it had a subtitle to it that got cut for Tape Op, which I think wound up being a good thing. The initial title was Working Happy, and in parentheses, or How I Learned to Stop Chasing Popularity and Mostly Love My Job.
Oh, wow.
Which I think sums up the article pretty well.
Yeah, that pretty much nails it.
It really does, right? Like, and everyone loves a good
Exactly. And like one of the things I love most about the article is you talk about mental health, but you talk about mental health in a way that we often don't.
Yeah.
The role that exercise plays in mental health. So, and you started this basketball game with other awesome musicians. Tell me how that started.
I hate running. Like, I really hate running. I hate it so goddamn much.
Yeah, me too.
I've been 6'5" since I was in like 10th grade.
Right.
So my back and knees hate it. In my mind, I think like a lot of people who do art, my mind, as soon as I start to like, okay, I'm gonna go for a jog, like 2 minutes in, my mind's like, what the f*** are you doing?
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is stupid. What are you gonna look at another tree?
Go
you got
back
work
home.
to do. You got this. You need to do, you didn't respond to that email from 2 days. Like, and like it just goes and goes. And it's like, this hurts. This sucks. And so like, basketball started just because like I'm a baseball guy.
Right, me too.
I never really watched basketball, but it started because I needed something that I could do where I could get some cardio and kind of get moving physically.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's something that I can get better at. And
There you
it's
go.
a mental game. And yeah, so it's not because I like it.
Yeah, but you found a way to do the thing you need to do, which was exercise and do it in a palatable way for you. So I commend you for that.
But that actually brings up a good point. Wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, you're going to have to do stuff at some point that you're not super psyched about.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
But you shouldn't do stuff. If you need the money, you need the money.
Right,
But
yeah.
you shouldn't take on stuff that that's gonna make you hate what you're doing in that moment.
That's right. And that's how we get jaded musicians.
That's exactly how we get jaded musicians, because they get it. The best paying gigs are the worst fucking music.
Amen.
I've been on salary for like, I can't even tell you, like stuff. I stopped doing like country music in Texas because like I play pedal steel and dobro and mandolin and shit. Like I can gig all I want. I stopped doing it because like I sing backup vocals and like,
oh no,
I just couldn't sing those fucking words night after.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, fuck, I can't sing this. This is so bad.
It's a lot of money, but not worth it.
No, it's not. And like I say I don't do that for the same reason I'm not a lawyer or a plumber, because I don't want to do those jobs. I just don't want to do it. We got one shot at this. Like, this is it.
Amen.
You know?
And that's another part I want to talk to you about from the article is just the line of, don't forget, we get paid to sit in a room and listen to music. You know, you're not coal mining. You're not, it's in some third world country. You get to play music in Austin, and like, stop complaining.
Yeah, there's only so much of that you can do because it's dangerous to compare, especially if you have like, especially like with mental health stuff. Because I would get into the cycle of like, just with depression of like, what do I have so bad? Like,
Yeah.
I get to, even in hard times, I get to, go to a studio and make music all day. And, like, I get to, go home to a house with a roof and there's not a machete-wielding ethnic minority coming to my door. Like, this is people's f***ing reality.
Yeah, it
Why am
sure
I
is.
complaining? You can't, that logic doesn't, you can't do that because it's no different than comparing yourself to whoever's doing better than you who sucks way more than you suck.
Oh.
And it belittles your own issues and problems.
God, that's a great point.
Your internal stuff is just as big as someone else's internal stuff, even though they've had more recognizable trauma, for example.
Right. But there is a difference between complaining about a bar stiffing you because you didn't use a contract to, I'm sad, this is hard, and my soul is crushed.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it.
Man, thank you, Justin, for being here. I swear every time I talk to you, I learn something. Thank you so much for being on the show, being a cartoon.
You're very welcome. I've always wanted to be a cartoon.
We'll be right back after this. Remember, do more, better, faster.
Or keep learning, improving, and having pride in your work, Colin.
Yeah, or that. Maybe both? Hello and welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am here with Chiquita B. And Chiquita, just start off with the people that aren't familiar with you. You know, what's your story and what do you do?
I'm Chiquita B. I'm a hip-hop artist from right here in Austin, Texas. I've been recording and performing since 2011. So I've been doing this for a while. I also do a lot of other things like putting together hip-hop events. I do a lot of charity events. And I've been putting together like my own ciphers and things of that sort. So, you know, just kind of all over the place.
That's right. And one thing I love about you is you're throwing events. And I've always said, like, when you throw the party, you have the power.
Right.
So what really led you to be doing more than just being an artist performing shows, you know, being involved in throwing shows and charity and all the different events you do? What kind of leads that charge for you?
To be honest with you, it kind of came down to me wanting to create a show that was built around myself, of course. And then also I wanted to be able to create a platform to put on other artists that I believed in personally. Right. So, you know, I can't always say, hey, put this artist on, put that artist on, unless I have say so. So I figured, you know, why not put together my own events and, you know, help other artists like I've been helped.
Nice. So let's talk about 2020. What do you have planned for this year, and what do we have to look out for Chiquita B in 2020?
Well, first things first, right now currently I'm working on an EP. It'll be 5 tracks. It's called Lover's Lane, and I'll be releasing that on Valentine's Day, so that's coming up really quick. And Jay Soulja will also be featured on that as well, and a few other R&B singers from here in town. I won't mention because I don't want to give away the whole thing before I drop it. And then I'm working on another project after that. I don't want to give away the title for that because I haven't announced it yet. Okay. But I'm working with a few producers from LA, and it's going to be a big deal. I plan on pushing that really bigger than my other projects. And of course, my own festival, Natural Hair Festival, Kinky Curly Curly Fest. It's very special to me. I put it together in 2017 the first time, and unfortunately, Hurricane Harvey hit on the same day. So of course, everybody was all pooped out and not too many people came. So this year it'll be a totally different story. God forbid another hurricane hits. But yes, I'm so excited because I'm doing it for the culture. And that is what I'm using to bring people together and to celebrate. And it'll be a lot of vendors. It'll be hairstylists doing hair on site. It'll be a lot of live performances. CC Hustle, LaCria, Pat Carter, Ivy Roots, and Queen Dila. They'll all be performing in Marche as well, and myself included. So I'm looking forward to the lineup and just the whole event together. I'm ready to get it over with because it's so stressful, but I'm just so ready to see the turnout. Yeah. So,
tickets available?
Yes, the tickets are available on seetickets.com. That's SEEC tickets. And also I have physical tickets as well. And all the artists that I just named, they have tickets as well. So.
Awesome. So be sure to check out the links to that down below and get your tickets. Chiquita B, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been great talking to you. We'll have you back on the show soon. We'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to Daily Austin Music. I'm here with Jamie Howard, the founder of Treehouse Sessions. So, Jamie, just tell everybody, maybe the people that don't know anything about you, kind of give them your story.
Yeah, my name's Jamie Howard. I'm originally from London. I got to Austin because of my wife. Oh, nice. Yeah, so we met in Scotland. We met at the Fringe Festival. I was doing a play. And she was working as an intern for an improv group, which she was handing out flyers on the street, essentially. It was glamorized. And yeah, I was in a play and I saw her on the street and I was like, that girl's hot. She should come to my show. So I gave her a flyer for the show that I was on. And she had a flyer and I was like, hey, show me yours, I'll show you mine. Yeah, we kind of hung out for that month. We moved to LA. Right. Because it seemed like a cool idea. We're like, let's move to LA. And LA is shit. And we'd been to Austin a few times. Right. And really liked it here. And we were walking around downtown once, and I remember saying, I could live in Austin, you know? My wife said, I could live in Austin as well. And we went back to LA, and we were in Glendale, and no one wants to live in Glendale. Even the people in Glendale are like, why am I in Glendale? And we're like, we need to move to Austin. So we packed up 2 cars, and we found ourselves here. And that was 2 years ago.
Man, that's awesome. And just 2 short years, tell me about how the Treehouse Sessions came about and how it's grown.
Yeah, so back in London, I used to work within music. I ran music events, and then I was an A&R for a while. Just always kind of worked within music and events, and I've always I've always loved music. But like legit, I've always loved music, and I knew. So when I came to Austin, Austin is billed as kind of the live music capital of the world, and there's a lot of live music that happens, but there's no kind of what happens after that. So if you go to a bar and you see this musician that you really like, and you're like, oh, hey, I really like that person. Then you go home and you kind of like go on YouTube or whatever. There wasn't really any video content supporting the amount of musicians that are in bars. And I was like, well, there's definitely like a gap in the market for that. Or maybe the videos that people did have were just shot fairly poorly. It was cell phone footage, and it just wasn't doing the musicians any justice. So the original idea was to take Austin music acts and film them against cool Austin backdrops. So go with the Capitol building in the background, or go and film someone on the Greenbelt or wherever it may be, or in the bars that they perform at 6th Street and stuff. And then when we moved into our house, there was the beginning part of the treehouse in the back. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we put musicians in a treehouse? Therefore, we don't have to get planning permits. We don't really and truly, like, just financially, it made sense to get people to come to a house. And because I'm lazy and I don't like leaving my house, it made sense for people to come here. And then so I reached out to a few music acts that I knew here to say, hey, I kind of have this idea of putting you in a treehouse and recording you. Think NPR Tiny Desk, but outside in nature. That was the kind of like the elevator pitch. So we filmed Nick Swift and Sheridan Reed were our first 2 musicians, just for like proof of concept, to make sure that this could have legs and it wasn't just some weird hippie shit. Because it sounds like some weird hippie shit. Like, hey, we're going to put musicians in a tree and film them, and it's all going to be really nice. And like, it's just going to be you and your guitar. And you're like, this doesn't work. And we put it out, and people were like, whoa, this is really nice. Like, oh, how can I? As soon as other musicians were like, how can I also do this? I was like, cool, we're on to something. And over the year and a half that we've done it, we've kind of, just kind of escalate,
I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Be sure to check out Treehouse Sessions and check out Jamie Howard. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, that's it for the Damn Tonight Show. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. What? What are you looking at? What? 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 What are you talking about? Hey y'all, I'm going to South by. Anybody need anything?
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the live coronavirus outbreak capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's the Damn Tonight Show, featuring tonight's guest, musician, filmmaker, and recently signed to Last Gang Records, Mobley. And now, here's your host, the idiot who's doing this every night for a month, Colin McDonald.
Play ball, 1, 2, 3, go, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Chris on the boat, cut the ribbon, pull back the veil. This is our feature presentation. Your update was successful. Hibernation is over. Spring has sprung. The you-know-what has hit the fan. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's go time. Start your engines. Press any key to begin. We are locked and loaded for bear. The seed has taken root. The water is broken. The timer is dinged. The teapot is whistling. And the fat lady is on break till Christmas. It's March in Texas, and the preseason is over. It's time for the real season to begin. Welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Today is March 2nd, and let's look at some headlines. Now, first up is the biggest headline in the world, the coronavirus.
But we're learning the coronavirus is now affecting Austin's biggest festival, South by Southwest.
Say it's not a question of if, but when.
Austin Convention Center says it's adding more hand sanitizers and hand cleaning stations. And they'll clean restrooms, escalators, and door handles more often.
Twitter's banning all non-critical travel because of the coronavirus. According to MarketWatch, that means the social media giant's CEO Jack Dorsey will no longer be coming to speak at South by Southwest.
They've had some festival attendees from China cancel their plans, but that won't affect the festival as a whole.
So do you have an extra $2,000 but don't want to travel all the way to China to get sick? South by Southwest might be for you. Come see the world's most famous music stars contract the world's most viral virus. There won't be any moms complaining about the way the performers are dressed this year. Ever wonder what Lizzo sounds like through 3 layers of plastic?
Here's what's at stake for an event like South by Southwest and the city of Austin. Numbers from organizers show a bump for local businesses. Last year, economists determined South by resulted in more than $350 million worth of an economic impact. More than $180 million of it was directly tied to paid attendance by badge holders. For the festival, more than 12,000 individual hotel rooms were booked.
Seriously, do you really think they're going to give up all that money? We'll see complimentary hazmat suits under each airplane seat sponsored by the city itself before they cancel the cash cow that is South by Southwest. Which brings us to our top 12 reasons to avoid South by. Number 12, S. Number 11, U. Number 10, R. Number 9, I. Number 8, V. Number 7, A. Number 6, N. Number 5, O. Number 4, R. Number 3, O. Number 2, C. And the number 1 reason for the 10th year in a row to avoid South by, parking. And that brings us to our main story today, the overall State of the Union, taking stock of the Austin music scene. Now, by some estimates, the city of Austin is home to as many as 8,000 musicians, which seems like a big number until you consider that the metro population is 2 million. And that means as musicians, we make up around 0.4% of the population. Yet, we have city representation and active policies and initiatives on our behalf. Think about that. That's kind of insane. And if you include venues, of which there are more than 250 according to austintexas.org, assuming that each venue employs an average of 10 employees, that's only another 2,500 or 0.1% more. That's an incredibly small community and industry in such a big city. To give you some context on that, over 13,000 people work for the city. Keller Williams employs 3,000, and there are roughly 2,255 homeless people between you and I right now. Now, we have 150 music-focused nonprofits ranging from healthcare to housing assistance and also from cool stuff like Kids in a New Groove to self-serving political pundits. We have more than one local radio station that plays local music. Our local news stations regularly cover music news and host live performances, and hundreds of other people who produce media around Austin, music and photos, blogs, vlogs, lists, and so much more. Not to mention the many groups who are producing high-quality live performance footage. We have 1 million places to list shows, from Showlist Awesome to The Chronicle to Do 512, who's playing tonight, and we have a festival every 6 hours, it seems, generating millions of dollars in economic impact. And we have a state music office and the Austin Music Commission. Not to mention real taxpayer city money on the table for commercial live music, whatever that means. Now here's the math on that. If there are 8,000 musicians and we each get a cut of $3.15 million, we each get $393.75. In contrast to that, there are roughly 2,255 homeless people in Austin, and the October City of Austin budget allocated $62.7 million to homelessness. That's about $27,804 per person. Austin is consistently on every good internet list and has largely been absent from the real estate fluctuations that plague many other cities. Sure, we have our issues, but the city is growing for a reason. There are more musicians here than ever. Not to mention, we have at least 10 bands with over 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and musicians are making a living here. And there might be more of us than you think. Some sign major deals, some go indie, and yet some still find their niche and live on that sweet, sweet mailbox money. Some score films and some own recording studios. Some work every day as a hired gun, while others are leading their teams into the great unknown of our current climate. But most do as many of these things as we can and so much more. We are lucky to live in this city with so much incredible opportunity. How are you capitalizing in the live music capital? You hear people say all the time that the music industry is the Wild West now. Let's be on the frontier and wash your hands and read those contracts. You don't want to die of dysentery or coronavirus. We'll be back with Mobley right after this message. Austin Music Television on Channel 16 is made possible by Support Austin Music. Support Austin Music is a cooperative of Austin-based musicians and their supporters creating compilations of music videos for airing on Austin Public Channel 16. The music videos are compiled into hour-long episodes and are aired weekly. Check your cable provider for the specific channel, and Austin Public Access Channel 16 live feed is available on the website for those of you who are unable to get it on your television. Support Austin Music Television. Support Austin Music. Welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am so happy to be sitting here with Mobley, an absolutely prolific artist. Now, for the people that may not know who you are and what you do, kind of give me the quick little rundown.
I'm a musician. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, producer, and I live here in Austin, Texas, and I've been here about 10 years.
10 years in Austin. A lot's happened.
Oh yeah,
in the last decade for you. Kind of take me like once you got to Austin till now, like the last decade.
Sure. Well, I had a band for a while, like the first 5 or 6 years of that, and you know we did the grind, and eventually the life stuff that happens to bands happened. Right. People got married, people went to college, got different jobs, and ultimately through a variety of circumstances, I ended up being the last one standing. And but it had always been my songs, and I had always been the main one doing the recording, so it wasn't too big of a change on that front. Right. But it did necessitate coming up with a new live show, right, which I did. And honestly, from the time that I would say from the time that I came up with that show, which is me alone on stage, jumping around to a bunch of instruments, and also, you know, with the whole multimedia light component, all that, right, the kind of one-man extravaganza. Yeah. Basically, as soon as I started doing that, like the trajectory of my career went like that. Right. Like yeah, it was just a sharp change. It was obvious overnight that something was dramatically different. People were reacting to the show differently, even though it was largely the same songs. Right. I think it just allowed people to understand what I was doing in a clearer and better way. And then obviously there's the financial aspect of there only being one person. Yeah. You know. I really love having a band, and hopefully we'll get to have one again in the future. But for now, this has been literally life-changing.
Right. Watching your show, because I felt the same, that like the engagement in a one-man show is not like that usually. You know,
right.
Everybody
Yeah.
is right there, and it's partly the multimedia and the light show. I mean, you make a freaking spectacle of the show.
Yeah.
But watching you go from instrument to instrument, by like the third song, you start to realize that's all him. It engages them in the story of who you are.
Yeah, yeah.
In a different way than could ever be accomplished with a band.
Totally.
Like I love that aspect of your show, because you're in, and I talk about it all the time, like you're putting on a show, you're putting on entertainment.
Right.
The music is good, but like the entertainment has to be good too.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
They're
like
different art forms. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're coexisting in that same space.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit like from your first time going out there by yourself to now, kind of what's been your perspective change? What have you learned kind of doing the one-man show?
Yeah, the first time was rough for sure.
I can imagine.
I think I did okay because, you know, obviously I'd performed before, but I had never gone up and done it by myself, and I was really self-conscious about what I was doing. Sure. Like, it's not like there are a lot of people I can look to and be like, okay, this is how you do it.
Right.
And I think that my like self-consciousness hampered the show early on, but thankfully the whole reason I had to pull it together was because I had like a 2-month tour booked already. Nice. And my drummer got hurt and couldn't make it, so it was like, well, I have to figure something out, and that was a really good trial by fire.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, it was just like, it was just relearning the same lessons I had learned earlier about being a performer. It's like they want you to believe it. Yeah. They want you to win. They didn't come to see you bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now that's completely solidified, and I just go in and it's like all these people want to see me do some cool stuff
and do it well.
Yeah. Like that's what I think there's an essay by Kim Gordon where she says a bunch of things, but one of the things she says is people come to a show to see people believe in themselves. And I think that's really true. And I think as long as you've done the work to prepare, because that you can't skip that.
No. And people can tell real quick.
Right. As long as you've done the work to prepare, and I put a lot of my work onto the stage, so it's obvious, then I think people just want to see you own it, and then cheer for that.
Right.
And so I think that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Now we're gonna have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Mobley after this message. Austin Uncharted is a live studio performance series featuring Austin bands and musicians recorded and filmed at King Electric Recording Studio. Featuring artists like Trouble in the Streets, Aubrey Hayes, Lowen, Jake Lloyd, and so many more. Watch a session and check it out. New bands every 3 weeks, Thursday at midnight, and you can follow their page and be the first to see what's coming up next. All right, and we're back sitting here with Mobley, and now I want to ask you about, you just signed to Last Gang Records, and it's crazy to me that, when we were growing up, it was the signing with a label and getting a deal was the only way to go. And then it turned into you shouldn't sign a label because we can do it all ourselves. And now we're back to, yes, you can sign a label, but it has to check all these boxes. So kind of tell me more about the decision to sign to Last Gang Records.
Yeah. So, we meaning like the kind of team that helps me run things had, we'd had lots of conversations with lots of different labels over the years, and for one reason or another, nothing ever worked out exactly right or felt exactly right. And yeah, there's definitely in the industry among indie people, I would say, there's a conventional wisdom that that labels aren't to be trusted, and that because of the democratization of the means of production, you don't need a label per se. I never fully bought in on that, to be honest. A lot of the people that I saw being pointed to as, look what this person did without a label, it was like, okay, but this other thing that they had is basically their label. Like their rich parents are their label, or the record contract they had in the 90s that garnered them their fan base, that's their label.
Right.
Or
and what's the difference between a distribution deal?
Sure, right. Exactly. And I think there's definitely something to the whole democratization thing. I think there are people who have access to this stuff who didn't have it before, and I think that's a great and beautiful thing. 100% honestly. But the thing about the music industry, like most industries, is it's all about relationships, and it's damn near impossible to make engaging, artful music, craft a good stage show, maintain, your persona on stage, on social media and all that stuff, and have the kind of relationships that you need to have with, YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and every single venue you want to play, and with the radio people. Right. Like there's just too many people. You can't have all those relationships.
And when you say relationships with like YouTube and Spotify, like those are people.
Yeah, people, exactly. Exactly.
So
Deborah at the desk, in New York at YouTube.
Right.
And, thankfully I have formed some relationships with people on my management team, and we have people who are, we have an agent and now a label and people working radio who, Deborah at YouTube is my friend. I went to her wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you, random kid in Poughkeepsie, you can't beat that. Like, you actually can't beat that. That doesn't mean that sometimes fluky stuff doesn't happen, of course. But I think there's this comfortable myth, really a lie, a comfortable lie that we like to believe, that this is all somehow meritocracy, and as long as you're good enough, it'll work out for you. That's just not true. It's just not true. That's not the way any of this stuff works.
It never has worked.
Ever. It's all, there's so much randomness, there's so much luck and chance involved, and unfortunately, a lot of it is just knowing the right people and having the right people advocate for you in the right rooms. Like, if you don't have somebody in the room when the decision gets made,
you're not part of
You're not part of the decision.
Yeah.
You know? And so for me, it's always been fundamentally about relationships, both in the kind of opportunistic networking, who do my people know way, but also in the, you know, at the end of the day, that's all you have is relationships with other people. Like, money, any success you have, all that stuff, it's all, unless you're just a completely hollow and empty person, it's all about facilitating the kinds of relationships you can have with other people anyway.
Right.
You know? So that's a long way of saying we finally connected with a label, Last Gang Records, who I really connected with on a personal level and felt like I really liked their catalog. A lot of the records they put out are some of my favorite records of all time. Right. And then I felt like I connected with them as people and felt like I could trust them to help put my music out. Right. And also felt like I could trust that they could get my name said in the right room at the right time. You know, this is the part of the industry that nobody likes to talk about, but this is the part that I wish somebody had talked to me about, you know, when I was first starting out, because it's like, don't feed me the myths. Like, right. I didn't get into music to be in the music business. I just like making music. Yep. You know what I mean? So like, talk to me about the reality of the business, right. And then what's the shortest distance between point A and point B?
And what are some of the questions you would have asked yourself in this position that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I mean,
because that's the most interesting thing to me. Is that exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have now is the thing that I've always wanted, and the thing that I want now is just, how do I make this keep going?
Yeah, how do you make it last?
Right. Yep. So I think the best way to distill it is the number one thing that I didn't know that I was doing right then that led me to where I am now is really, really investing in my live show. And I don't mean that from necessarily a money standpoint, although I think that's perfectly good advice too. Yeah. But just really investing myself in making connections with people on a deep human level when I'm on stage. Because it's really hard to get people to go watch a video on YouTube. It's really hard to get people to go stream a track or download it or whatever. But when you're at a show, they're already there. Yeah. You already have them. And then the question is, what do you do with them in that moment? And if I honestly believe if you're doing something that you believe in and that is real, like, you're not that special, you're not that weird, there are going to be lots of other people who like the things that you like. Yeah. And so just figuring out how to connect with them. I know this sounds like a platitude, but it's really not. Just really thinking about what is it about this thing that I am investing all this time and energy in? What is it about this that excites me on a human level? And how can I figure out how to communicate that to other people and excite them about it? And if you do that, and you do that in those rooms, in those moments when you actually have people's attention, and then, you know, afterward you solidify those connections by being a genuine, decent human being to those people. Yep. I really think people want to help you. Like, people will want to help you. They know you need help. It's obvious. You're an independent musician. You need help. Right. And so many people over the years have approached me. And that's probably the biggest X factor in making any of this happen. So many people have approached me and been like, what can I do to help? What can I do to help you? What do you need? And without all those people doing even tiny things, making introductions, like, I don't think any of this could have happened, and I don't think those people would have reached out in that way if they didn't feel like we had made some kind of real connection in those times. And you know, there's lots of other stuff, business stuff, all that, but that stuff is kind of rote.
One of the things that interests me, like when people come up to you and say, I want to help you, or how can I help you? I'll do anything. You have to have an answer.
Totally.
For them. Awesome. Yeah. And you got a new single out. Talk about that and kind of what's coming up next for you.
Yeah. So I just put out the first single from my new record. The single is called Nobody's Favorite. And there's a song and a video out that people should check out. It's the first single off my record, which is called Young and Dying in the Occident Supreme. Okay. And
thanks for the vocabulary lesson. I had to look it up.
And alongside the record, there's going to be a film. And so the first video is part one of the larger film. And probably in March, I'll be putting out the second single and part two of the film. So people should keep an eye out for that. And then you can catch me at South by. As of this taping, I don't exactly know where and when I'll be, but I'll be all over the place. So you can check it out at mobleyhoo.com. All the shows will be up there.
All right, Mobley, man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Be sure to check out Mobley on all the social media sites and mobleyhoo.com. We'll be right back after these quick messages. The CobraCast podcast with Bobby Sharon is a must-listen in the Austin music community. With over 280 episodes so far, you can tune in to hear Austin musicians and the like share their stories and their music every Monday and Thursday live at 7:30. Check this one out anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald. This is Damn Art, Daily Austin Music album review time, made possible by Spotify. Today we're checking out the newest release from eBurner, Elemental. This is a 5-song EP and starts off with the song Cave Diving. After a nice melodic and atmospheric intro, the song goes into kind of an instrumental electro-Latin groove. There are plenty of hidden Easter eggs in this track, and I especially like the bass line change about halfway through this tune. I love instrumental beats, and this one is a great listen. This track really evolves and escapes the trap of most beats fall into, sounding very similar throughout and only being about 2 minutes long. Elemental is the shortest track on the record at 3:07. The next track, Autumn Fire, has a solid 4-on-the-floor beat and a lot of nice samples throughout the track, giving it a distinctive vibe. The third track, Ebb and Flow, starts off with a catchy drum groove and some electric piano chords, giving it a chill hop vibe from the start. The vocals on this one are great and go with the track exceptionally well. I really dug this one, and it's one of the standout tracks. I really like the hook riff, a little walk down number that kind of sticks with you. The fourth track, For One Night, starts off with some nice chords and a really cool kick pattern, and that evolves into a nice chill track. I really like the use of samples in this EP, and the arrangements are well thought out and evolve nicely. On the last track, Quantum Jump, you can really hear the unique chord structures and melody choices that make eBurner an interesting listen. This song employs all the tricks from this EP in a catchy instrumental number with plenty of catchy melodies to hum along to. Overall, I really enjoyed this EP from eBurner. I'm looking forward to the next release. Be sure to buy, share, and stream this music wherever you can. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the Damn Tonight Show weekdays at 5. I'll see you tomorrow morning for Who's Playing Tonight. Daily Austin Music is just a thing I'm doing on the side. There is no team or money or special interest behind it. I love music. I love this city. Both have been very, very kind to me. I feel a responsibility to do this, not knowing fully what it is or what it will become. So here's to every day doing more, better, faster together. Now, if you disagree with anything I say, please comment down below. I would love to talk to you. Remember, it's just the internet. Don't take it too seriously. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald.
Live from Animated Studio 6A in the proletariat capital of the world, Austin, Texas, it's the Damn Tonight Show with tonight's guest, host of Ear Candy 2.0 and marketing specialist for the Texas Music Office, Mark Fort. Now here's your host who thinks he's clever, Colin McDonald.
Welcome to the Damn Tonight Show. Let's jump right into the headlines. Now, Facebook has pulled out of South by Southwest. Wait, don't they have offices here? This is kind of like grandma canceling Christmas at her place because she's not feeling up for it, but then post a selfie from Hawaii with Santa on New Year's Eve. Now, there have been over 20,000 signatures on the petition to cancel South by Southwest, but until that number reaches around 350 million, keep washing your hands, stay inside, and for a limited time, get your own damn hazmat suit. For one easy, immediate payment of $10,000, you can enjoy South by Southwest with no fears of contracting the virus. Side effects may include suffocation. This is really just a trash bag. The Austin Chronicle Music Industry Awards took place last night at Emo's, and you'll never guess who won. The same industry that claims it's dying sure rewards itself an awful lot. If our industry is limited to radio, print journalism, and live venue owners, we're more screwed for the future than we thought. Where's the best videographer? Where's the award for the best Spotify strategy? How about artist manager, music video producer, Instagram account, YouTube channel? The Austin Music Awards just got an update. I think it's well past time the industry awards got an update as well. Now, last night's Music Commission meeting was, again, incredibly boring. The only real update is that the Hot Tax Working Group decided it would be open to the public now. And I have to say, I'm sorry. I missed the last work group meeting, and coincidentally, this happened to be the meeting where they apparently went around the room and discussed each other's affiliations and potential conflicts of interest. How did I miss this? And why did this have to happen at the one meeting I missed? Live and learn. I'll do better next time. Let's make an effort to show up at these things. I know the all-important Music Industry Awards were happening last night, so I'm sure that's why attendance was so low at the Music Commission meeting last night, right? It was just poor planning, right? We'll be right back after this short message. Kids in a New Groove's mission is to provide Central Texas children living in foster care with a committed one-on-one mentoring relationship through free weekly private music instruction. They need your help to continue making an impact. Kids in a New Groove seeks volunteers, music mentors to provide weekly music lessons and mentorship to youth in foster care. For volunteer opportunities and more, visit kidsinanewgroove.org. Austin is a big city now, and that means we have big city issues, like generically named nonprofits that are funded by untraceable donations and, while seemingly taking the side of musicians, strategically align in other areas as well that happen to benefit the anonymous donors. Now, Austin Music Foundation, AMF, sits on prime real estate. How prime? Well, you can get a one-bedroom apartment at that address of 1,333 Shore District Drive for about $1,600 a month, and that's only 660 square feet. How is AMF paying for the... Oh, well, that's kind of easy to trace. According to a Statesman article in 2016, Gary Keller pledged to put his mouth where his money is, and according to the public documents from Black Fret's website, he gave at least $15,000 to Black Fret alone that year. How much money is Keller pouring into these nonprofits in total? And more interestingly, why? According to that same 2016 article, Keller says, "I had to ask myself, am I in this or not? Do I really care enough to commit the time and energy and money? Having a party and making a CD to celebrate local musicians is one thing, but becoming an advocate and actually being willing to talk about it, that's something different. So I had to go and think about that. Do I care enough? And I discovered, yeah, I'm willing to do that." Now, in my opinion, at best, he's aiming for a statue next to Willie's, touting him as the Batman of Austin music. Some moniker some overzealous idiot gave him. And at worst, he's trying to manipulate legislation by any means necessary. Here's hoping for Batman Saves Austin, co-opting a few musician Robins along the way, and not Monopoly Man just buying up property and using the police as a volume knob for the culture. And you may be saying, wow, that's a cynical way to look at things. And yeah, you'd be right, but come on. Why else when I go around asking for these nonprofits 990 Schedule B through O forms, the forms I get are redacted 9 times out of 10? Well, that goes to reason that there's maybe something to hide. Consider this my shining my cell phone flashlight into the gutter because I'm pretty sure I heard my keys go down there when I dropped them. So you're saying all nonprofits are terrible shell corporations used to manipulate legislation? Well, no, not all of them. There are some great organizations out there, and while they will undoubtedly have their flaws and problems, they're consistently doing good work for the music community. Organizations like HAM, Sims, Home, and countless small nonprofits that provide services for the less fortunate citizens of Austin, and Co-op. Co-op is a community radio station in Austin, Texas, owned and operated by its members in a cooperative structure depending primarily upon its volunteers and supporters for all operations of the station. Co-op provides a diverse array of programming, emphasizing programs that deal with local issues and/or serve communities which are underserved by the mainstream media. Co-op has more than 60 unique locally produced programs airing every week, and each of these programs is produced by an individual or by a collective of members. Now, any member of the community can join the organization and apply to produce a radio program, and Co-op provides the facilities and the training. Now, their mission is to engage, connect, and enrich the whole community, including the underserved, through creating diverse, quality educational music and news programming. So see, there are some, without a doubt, on our side. Now we'll be right back with Mark Fort from the co-op radio show Ear Candy 2.0 and the Texas Music Office after this short message. Overload is a bunch of music fans hailing from all over the country that ended up in Austin because of their love of music and breakfast tacos. Overload's goal is to help you sift through the vibrant music scene here to find whatever it is you're looking for. Whether you're an Austinite looking for a cool concert this weekend or you've never been to the music capital of the world but want to get the latest on what's happening here, Overload is there for you. They provide songs, interviews, reviews, podcasts, and more with hopes to expand over time to include more ways for you to explore Austin music. Feel free to contact them with any suggestions or anything you'd like to see, and if you're an Austin band or band representative, feel free to send them your music. Or just say hi, and they're doing awesome work. Be sure to check them out at overld.com. Hello and welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am here with Mark Fort from Ear Candy 2.0 from the Texas Music Office and so many other things. Thank you so much, Mark, for being here. For those out there that aren't familiar with you, kind of fill us in on who you are and what you do.
My name is Mark Fort. I am a jack of all trades, master of, I don't know, maybe a couple. I, for the past 14 years, have been working at the Texas Music Office, doing music business development and economic development for the state's music industry. And that's everything from helping bands that are just starting out to working with music educators to working with music businesses that are looking to expand their business or get referrals or just really grow their business and have new business opportunities. So I've been doing that. Before that, I was playing in bands full time. Couple different bands. The two for the longest period were one called Boba Green and another one called Shotzi. Just indie rock bands that would have been folks would have heard on college radio or the alternative rock stations in Austin. In the past few years have been doing a lot of volunteer work with Co-op Radio here in Austin, nonprofit, one of the only nonprofit community radio stations in North America. So that's been a lot of fun. And in another lifetime before all that, I started out professionally here in Austin, working as a photojournalist and a music writer at the daily newspaper, the Austin American Statesman.
How long have you been in Austin? Did you grow up here?
I did. I moved here at about age 7. It was a great place to grow up. I mean, we were in the suburbs in Northwest Austin, but as soon as I got a driver's license, me and my friends were coming down into town and going to Antone's and seeing shows, and Clifford Antone was alive at that time, and he was really, really good about, even though we were underage, he made sure that we were able to get in and see shows and without hassle, even if we had to come through the back door sometimes. So
you've been here for decades, and one of my favorite questions to ask people that have that kind of experience is, what kind of non-obvious changes have you seen in Austin? Besides the traffic, besides the growth, how has the city changed over the last decades? Besides, in your mind,
that's a really good question, because in some ways, as Austin has gotten bigger and more gentrified and commercialized, some things have just remained the same. I mean, like for instance, even though now bands release most of their music digitally, and they might be focused on releasing singles, prioritizing that over full albums. Bands still make the great majority of their money touring, and they still make a lot of money. Well, I say a lot. They still make their money playing shows and getting outside of town. And so, it's kind of dirty little secret is the wrong word, but there's folks complaining about the music industry with every right. I mean, there's a lot of issues with digital royalties and the complications of publishing and all that stuff. But the reality is, music and some people will probably not like this, but in a sense, sometimes it is a meritocracy. The bands that stay together for a long time and get really, really good, usually those bands rise to the top. And the bands that stay together for a long time and then they start touring and getting out of town, sometimes, knock on wood, those bands eventually, audiences find those bands. And so, a lot of folks say, this is the problem with the Austin music scene and this is the problem with this. But, watching it over a period of 30 plus years, I definitely have seen hardworking bands that stick together and stick to their guns, eventually finding an audience. And I think that's the part that, it's easy to complain when you're sitting at home on your computer, or sitting on the couch being like, man, how come my band's not getting booked? But, if instead of sitting on the couch, if you're at the music lab or the rehearsal spot, every waking hour that you're not, you're not at your day job and, you're foregoing going out to see the new Star Wars movie so that you can buy a new piece of gear, or you're foregoing, taking your significant other out because you're so focused on working on your new song or whatever it is, putting music above everything else. That's when I see artists do that, and it never fails, whether it's 30 years ago or just, last week, those are the artists that tend to end up doing really well when they prioritize music over everything else.
Right. When they treat it as a business and as not even like saying it's a business is kind of an underestimation. It's life or death. I mean,
that's it. It's really truly life or death. And I mean, that was my own experience too. Like when I was playing in this indie rock band called Shotzi, when I kind of put my life on hold, put all my stuff in a storage space, and dedicated myself to touring with the band, and we're doing van touring and playing 100 to 200 capacity venues, but when we gave everything to the band, that was when everything's kind of the music and the industry kind of started to not just take notice, but it just started to kind of pay off in a sense when when we just dedicated ourselves really super hard.
All right, Mark, we got to take a real quick break. We'll be right back to talk about the radio show Ear Candy 2.0 right after this message. Noises and Signals is a great resource for Austin music news by real journalists that know what they're doing and how to craft a compelling and informative story. Sign up for their newsletter to make sure you're not missing anything about the Austin music scene. All right, welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I'm here with Mark Fort and just want to get into Co-op Radio, Ear Candy 2.0. How long have you been working at Co-op and kind of how did you get started in radio and journalism and in general?
So Ear Candy had been doing for, it'll be a year in June, and then a couple years with Co-op, about a year and a half before that, just as a station volunteer. And since it's an all volunteer run station, except for maybe 3 paid employees, there's a lot of work for volunteers to do. And I love volunteering with Co-op. I never had any aspirations to have a radio show or be on the radio. And in some ways, I think that's why it's kind of fun, because it's something totally new for me, and like I've I've done music journalism for years and done and played in bands for years, but this is like, all new, and I had some experience with audio engineering, but still doing that in a radio station is brand new. And so for the longest time, one of the reasons I even got into print journalism was because I really just wanted to share bands and share art that I was passionate about with other people. And so the radio station Co-op allows me to do that. If I'm excited about music or a local artist or whatever it is, I can get on the radio and share that enthusiasm with folks in their new release or whatever it is, and put a spotlight on art that I love. So,
are you live on the Ear Candy?
Yes. So we go out on we do it here in the evenings, and every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and we're live on HD radio and streaming on the website, on the Co-op website. It's kind of an homage to a show that was on Co-op called Ear Candy that ran for about almost 10 years, since the very early days of Co-op, since Co-op first came on, which was Co-op just celebrated its 25th anniversary this year, and just last month at Antone's sold out show. And that was a blast. Giant Dog, Dale Watson, and Cilantro Boombox played, and that was great to see the community come out for that. I can't say enough good things about all of the folks that volunteer at Co-op. I mean, it's like you have these musicologists, these people that are specialized in whatever genre their show is, and they're incredibly knowledgeable about these different genres. And so I really, I apprenticed with a guy named Scott Gardner who's been doing a show that was initially called The Garage Show, but now it's called Stronger Than Dirt. It's every Saturday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. And he's like this mastermind wizard on 60s garage rock and up through current day punk rock, garage rock, and I learned so much from Scott Gardner, and so that was amazing. And I hope that as we were talking earlier about, or we were talking about folks taking advantage of the resources in Austin, Co-op's a great example where anyone in the community can come in and say, I want to learn how to do radio, and since that's the mission of the nonprofit, they accept anyone that walks in the door and will help them do that. So I hope folks can take advantage of that. For myself, it's been a blast getting to, over the last several months, had Jackie Vinson come on Ear Candy, Vapor Caves, Kevin Curtin. Right in the next month-ish, I'm hoping to have Kathy Valentine come on and talk about her new book that her new memoir she has coming out, and several other folks that I admire and appreciate their art, their music. And so that's kind of the goal, just shining a light on all of these great artists in Austin. And so hopefully we'll continue to do that throughout the next coming months and years.
That's right. Decades. Yeah. Thank you, Mark, so much for being on the show and everything you do to support music in our city and state. Now, I plan to have you back on later this month when we talk more about the Texas Music Office and just music politics in general. So thank you so much. We'll be right back after this message and album review. Ham provides access to affordable healthcare for Austin's low-income working musicians, with a focus on prevention and wellness. Many Austin musicians are self-employed and have no access to health insurance or basic healthcare. They often work multiple jobs and struggle to pay for food, clothing, and shelter with nothing left for healthcare. That's where Ham comes in. By resolving challenges such as long-neglected dental work to hearing loss, heart problems, and depression, Ham and their partners improve and save musicians' lives and enhance Austin's economy and quality of life. Austin is the live music capital of the world, and they aim to keep it that way. Ham has helped over 5,300 musicians access over $73 million in healthcare value since they began in 2005. These include routine dental work, doctor visits and prescriptions, psychiatric counseling sessions, eye exams, outpatient procedures, specialist referrals, hearing screenings, and more. Find out more at ham.org. Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald. This is Damn Art, Daily Austin Music album review time. Today we're going to be taking a listen to MC Buddha's record, Winning Season. Now this record is fantastic. MC Buddha really put together a tight record here. This thing has hooks in all the right places as well as plenty of callback melodies and themes. It's 12 tracks and comes in at 42 minutes. The first track, Mirror, starts off talking about driving Austin streets, and this is an Austin-focused record. MC Buddha is really set out to shine with this one. The second track, Ozarka, starts off with a simple but memorable melody and pattern, and then the chorus comes in with that over auto-tune sound, which, okay, that's fine. I really like the ad-lib vocals in the chorus, and it adds a lot to the track that needed a little extra something. The beats on this record kind of remind me of the golden era of hip-hop, but also sound modern. I really like the direction they chose to go with this one. The third track, Opposition, starts off with this nice piano intro, and I started to notice that Buddha Man is said at the beginning of every song, and I love that. That's marketing. This track has a nice melody and a great performance from MC Buddha and Yeti 2100. The fourth track, Trust Ya, begins again with Buddha Man and the over auto-tuned vocal, and continues to be a great story song with a nice arrangement, but ends with a fade out. I hate fade outs. The fifth track, Swag Attack, starts off with maybe an acoustic guitar, maybe a synthesized one. I really like the hook on this one. It's completely overused, but in a great way. It's no Gucci Man, but it's knocking on the door. I really wish the organ player played a bigger part in the song, because the few stabs are perfectly placed and add a lot to the track. I'm fairly sure there's a flute in there too, and that's just awesome. Easy Boy makes a cameo in this one, and he's just a great addition to any song and kills it. I love this matchup, and they sound really unique together. On the sixth track, Basil Water, the theme of Buddha Man continues, and this one is more of a modern sounding track. The chorus is hilarious. I'm not totally sure it's supposed to be, but I loved it. I really like Two Stone's verse, and this is just a crazy tune, and everything works really well together here. On the seventh track, Dirty, it starts off almost carnival style, but comes in with this nice melody and a bass line before the drums even drop. Piano chords add a lot to the vibe, and the panning hi-hats made the engineer and me happy. This song has some really strong verses, probably the best on the record. In the middle part, they go back to dropping the drums and expresses a lot of emotion in the vocal performance. Jay Klein's verse is great, and although delivered with a completely different style, it molds well with MC Buddha's vibe. I love MC Buddha's sense of melody and the ability to put together a coherent theme throughout the whole record. The eighth track, Charge It to the Game, it starts off with a real chill hop vibe electric guitar and the ubiquitous Buddha Man intro. And this is a track I'd really like to see live. It's got a simple hook that you can sing along with, and halfway through the first chorus. This whole record is really set up to be performed well live. Lots of gang melodies and hooks that are easy to remember and repeat. On the ninth track, Bout It, this one starts off with a reggae ska guitar part, and the beat comes in for the first time sounding a little bit left to center for this record, but it quickly embodies the vibe of the tracks that come before while still standing on its own as a unique endeavor. Again, I really wanted to hear more organ in the verses because the lines they used are really great and they complement the melody really well. The horn parts are subtle and well placed, and this is one of the few reggae-inspired hip-hop tracks that actually does it well. It sounds more like a real track made from an authentic place than most 2 and 4 guitar part based beats you hear a lot of these days. On the last track, Why, it starts off with a dissonant acoustic guitar sound. I think this is the first track he didn't say Buddha Man in the first 15 seconds. This track is my favorite. You can hear Buddha sing without the auto-tune crutch and can finally hear the real soul hidden underneath. I like the chord choices as well as the melody, and this one is definitely a stripped down arrangement and kind of feels like the birthplace of this record in a way. Towards the end of the track, you get a woman singing in maybe Spanish, I don't know, over a lo-fi beat that ends the record beautifully. Overall, this is a really well put together record with a lot to say. There are some great rhymes and even better melodies, and the tracks are expertly put together. The whole record has a really consistent vibe, and every track is worth your time. Be sure to buy, share, and stream this record wherever you can. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out The Damn Tonight Show every weekday at 5. I'll see you tomorrow. Daily Austin Music is a thing that I'm doing. There is no backing, there is no funds, there is no kind of point besides trying to get attention on the Austin music scene. So if you'd like to be on the show, if you'd like to do a segment yourself, email me, call me, do whatever, 512-967-3386. Let's get together and bring some attention to what we're doing out here, because this is the greatest city and the greatest time to be alive. Do more, better, faster. I'll see you tomorrow.
Clear Virginia. What's your name?
Okay, I'm ready. Just do it.
Whoa. Live from Animated Studio 6A in the Don't Cough on Me capital of the world, Austin, Texas. It's the Damn Tonight Show with tonight's guests, owners and operators of the 1-to-1 bar on South Lamar, Destiny and Greg Ware. Now here's your host, who's really annoying, Colin McDonald.
Now on to the main story. What is a music venue? There's been a lot of talk about venues being against musicians, or at the very least being on the opposing side. Now, I don't agree with that totally, but I also don't think you realize that although your friends work at these venues, those venues are not your friends. They are for-profit businesses, and highly regulated ones at that. Now, all that being said, the Music Venue Alliance, which is lobbying hard to get their definition of a music venue into legislation, is a nonprofit organization funded by none other than the Dark Knight himself, Gary Keller. Music Venue Alliance is a part of the umbrella of the Music Makes Austin Foundation, which includes the Austin, Texas Musicians Group, EQ Austin, and the Red River Cultural District. What's interesting is I know all of this only from talking to people, not from finding any online info. Am I just so tired I can't find readily available information online, or is that information not available? It just seems odd to me that someone advocating for live music would be so hush-hush about it. Anyway, the Music Venue Alliance, which includes some number of clubs not publicly listed, but the few venue owners I actually know either haven't heard of it or are not a part of it. Now, it is lobbying hard to include this definition, so let's look at that. What is this definition that they're trying to get put into legislation? According to the Music Venue Alliance Austin website, defining a cultural asset requires a general common sense reading that can be flexible over time. Verifiable elements must show that music is the primary driver of business and/or the business is a music destination. This can be shown by the existence of a combination of factors that show a relationship with the musicians that does not exist in businesses that provide music as atmosphere. Number one, this begins with a process by which the venue clearly articulates to the artist the ability of an artist to receive payment for oh my God, what? Wait, you just said common sense reading. So we're going to change that to venues need to use contracts. All right, back to their definition. Number two, the factor test. A retail business that is a destination for live music consumers and its music programming is the primary driver of its business, as indicated by the presence of at least 5 of the following. Oh man, okay, let's look at these one at a time and make them 5th grade reading level. Number 1, define performance and audience space. It has a stage and a place for people to stand. Number 2, mixing desk, PA system, and lighting rig. Yeah, that one's pretty clear. Number 3, backline. Again, clear. Number 4, at least 2 of sound engineer, booker, promoter, stage manager, and security personnel. Wait, what? 2 of the 5? Usually 3 or 4 of those jobs are one person. This is completely unenforceable, deleted. Number 5, applies cover charge to some music performances through ticketing or front door entrance fee. Charges cover sometimes, so maybe, 1 week out of the year, maybe in spring. Again, too vague, deleted, get it out of here. Marketing of specific acts through gig listings and printed and/or electric publications. Read, venue makes some kind of effort to promote itself. This one stays, and I would move it to maybe number 1. Number 7, hours of operation coincide with performance times. What? That's just stupid. I still don't understand why music venues aren't trying new things during the day. Renting office space, coffee shops, something to pull in a little dough. Live music generally happens from about 6 to midnight on the weekdays and a couple extra hours on either side on the weekends. Number 8, produces music performances at least 5 days a week. If you could make rent just hosting shows once a month and you meet criteria 1, 2, 3, and 6, I'm good. Not to mention, let's go back to number 5, applies cover charge. Now, I think there should be an actual hierarchy defined on paper of the venues in Austin. Let's say that this group of venues on the bottom, There's no cover charge. You play for what you get. And then the next tier up, this you can charge a little bit of a cover, or maybe you're just getting 10% of the bar. Then the next tier above that is you're charging a $5 cover. The next tier above that, these are all the venues that are just charging $10 a cover, and so on. You can see where that would be super helpful and a way for us to have a ladder to climb, a model to follow. So out of these 8 options, I agree with 4, but those are a pretty important 4. And I like to see the requirements raised to 3 out of those 4. And I would add a 5th requirement of keeping track of attendance for live shows. Seriously, why aren't we doing this? Tech people, get on this one. Ching ching. If you can figure it out, this is a moneymaker. But I'll take anything that distinguishes a live music venue like One to One from a shot bar that hires a guy to bring his own PA, set up in the corner under the TV, and play acoustic versions of top 40 90s songs. What do you think of this definition? What is a music venue to you? I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll be right back with Greg and Destiny Ware of One to One Bar right after this short message. Austin's #1 source for hip-hop and R&B. Listen every Saturday from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. on KUTX 98.9. Now you can also catch up with the breaks on their brand new podcast releasing every Monday, along with weekly playlists exclusively on Spotify. Confucius Jones and Fresh know the Austin music hip-hop scene and are an excellent resource for all things Austin music. Be sure to check them out in the links down below. All right, hello and welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I am here with Greg and Destiny Ware, owners and operators of the One to One Bar for almost 20 years now. For those out there who aren't lucky enough to know you, kind of give me a quick rundown of who y'all are and what you do.
Well, we're just your regular, everyday old local live music venue. Been doing it for 16 plus years now, I guess. And yeah, we just do, 99% local music 7 days a week.
Now, I first met y'all when you were down on 5th Street back in like 2006 or 2007. How did all this start? How did One to One begin?
So we both were working in bar business before up north Austin, and
we kind of just decided
did we start looking?
Yeah, we started looking because we were like, we could do this.
So I was
we could do this on our own.
I was managing a club, and she was working at one, basically managing it for the most part too. And we started looking and came across this little place downtown that, of course, you had to sign a non-disclosure and all this other junk to find out what it was. So we went through that process with the broker and found out what the place was. And I went down and took a look at it with an old buddy of mine, kind of nonchalantly. It's kind of funny, you go in there thinking you're a spy, not letting anybody know you're there looking to buy the place maybe. But anyways, the 5th and Brazos, 121, the address is 121 East 5th Street. It was called Truman's, was the name of the bar. Cool little place. But anyway, we kind of hunted that down a little bit, went and checked it out, and then really didn't hear anything back from the broker at all. Like, it just kind of went away, And it was the day after Christmas. It was December 26th, 2003. We were in El Paso visiting my family for Christmas. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock Austin time. I got a phone call from the broker. And I looked down at my phone, asleep still. I looked down at my phone and went, I better answer this. So I answered it. And he said, hey, Greg, you guys still interested in buying that bar? I was like, well, yeah, sure. What's the deal? So he told us how much they wanted for it and what kind of the story, what was going on. And they had to shut the doors there for reasons I don't need to get into. But they had to shut the doors there, and we flew back to El Paso flew back to Austin from El Paso. And the next week or so, we owned a bar.
Yeah, got it up and running within 3 months.
During South by.
Yeah, we opened up in March 11th.
Just before South by. Before
March 11th, right during South by. We thought, well, this will be a good test.
Shit.
Let's open up right before South by Southwest.
Right. And that transitions beautifully into why in the world are y'all doing this? Why a live music venue in Austin?
Oh, we've always loved live music.
But it didn't start off that way. So I moved to Austin in the early 90s, right after high school. My brother had moved here exactly 1 year and 1 day before I did. And I thought, I'm going to follow my big brother, and I'm going to Austin when I graduate high school. And I did. I graduated high school and moved to Austin July 4th of 1994. And I met a bunch of dudes that's what they did. They went down to 6th Street and they listened to live music, and that's what I did. I spent 12 days a week on 6th Street. I mean, literally, I'm not bullshitting you. If there's 12 days in a week, I was there. Steamboat and Black Cat, those were my two that I just went back and forth, between. And then when I met her, I kind of introduced her to the local scene.
Yep, our first date was at Momo's to see Jeff Klein. Remember? Yeah, it was our first date, and he kind of introduced me.
She liked me then.
I did like him then. And we just, he shared his love of live music with me, and that's what we did. Every night of the week, we were out seeing a show.
So y'all are downtown for like 8 years and then moved down to South Lamar almost 8 years ago. What was the reason for leaving 5th Street and relocating to South Lamar?
Well, I'll speak to a few of the reasons. One is downtown had just, slowly started evolving and changing, and it was getting more and more challenging to get live music lovers to come downtown. The parking situation had changed. The whole vibe of the downtown area was really evolving into something that we did not enjoy anymore. I think the last year we were at that location, I don't know how many times we had to call police for violence occurring right outside our front doors. And it just got to be where...
I think there are 3 stabbings down
Yeah,
there,
it was
right
just ridiculous. Right there on 5th and Brazos.
In the last 6 to 7 months we were there.
Yeah, and we just were like, what are we doing? And at that point we were nothing but music. Like that's what we were focused on, and that's what we loved, and we were just like, we can't do this here anymore. So we kind of thought about changing and finding another location, and we kind of had that in the back of our minds, and I'll let you kind of go from there as to what happened. We just kind of fell in our lap that we could move.
Well, it's kind of funny. We actually talked about several times. Her and I talked about actually selling the club and just moving to Costa Rica or some shit. Just to get away, you know what I mean? We've never even, to this day, we've never even been to Costa Rica. But we researched it. We researched it and really thought about maybe doing that. I'm getting looks from her. The reason I'm bringing that up is because obviously that didn't happen. We didn't do that. We continued to just do what we were doing down there. And then one day, guys who now own and run Handlebar came to us and said, "Hey, you've been here for a while. We love the rooftop. Notice what you've done. We've got a concept for a place, and we'd love to buy you out of your lease." And that's how we moved. It just happened that way. And it was perfect because, like she said, downtown, man, it was becoming more and more. People want to park when they come to a live music venue. They don't want to have to, go park under the 6th Street Bridge on 35 and walk a couple miles to get where they, to a show they want to go see. And they started charging for parking. That's another thing. Once the parking thing came, there were times I almost got in fist fights with the parking maids, walking around giving people tickets. Our bartenders on our busiest nights would have to go pay their meters. They'd have to leave the bar to go pay their meters, when we're slam-packed busy. And it just was becoming more and more of a challenge. So we decided to sell our lease to those guys, and it took us 9 months to build this place, but
all right, thanks y'all. We're going to take a really short break, and we'll be right back with more after this quick message. Noises and Signals is a great resource for Austin music news by real journalists that know what they're doing and how to craft a compelling and informative story. Sign up for their newsletter to make sure you're not missing anything about the Austin music scene. All right, welcome back. I am here with Greg and Destiny Ware from 121 Bar, and I wanted to ask y'all to please help educate me and other musicians. What are some of the challenges venue owners face that as musicians we might not be aware of?
Well, I think one of the things that comes up a lot, and I don't want to say we're more advocates than most, but we do have a good understanding of musician struggles, and that's something that we're very cognizant of, and it's not something that we don't think about constantly when we're booking this venue. That being said, the old thought and adage of, well, if a room sounds good, it should have a built-in crowd is not true anymore. People are not going to come into a venue and pay cover for a band that they do not know. And, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for saying that, because a lot of people think that venues should have built-in crowds if it's a good room. And maybe that was the case 20, 25 years ago, where people would be adventuresome and say, I'm going to pay $5 and check out this band. It does not happen anymore. It's like pulling teeth to get people to pay for music. That's a whole nother issue. So I think if musicians, if they had a better understanding of that, not necessarily, doesn't necessarily help them out any, but they've got to understand when you play a room like this, because this is a destination venue. Nobody's going to come in off the street to hear your band if they don't already know you. That's kind of, that's an issue. It's an issue, and it's one that we struggle with all the time.
Especially now more that we don't have the walk-by traffic.
Right. Downtown we had the wide open windows, and people could hear the band and be like, hey, I like that band. I'm going to come check them out. Here it truly is a destination venue. So it's different from a restaurant that has live music playing in the background.
Yeah, and I think musicians fail to understand that. I think we have a responsibility to the venue to promote the show and bring people in. I mean, y'all got to pay rent just like we do.
It's a two-way street too, though, man. I mean, that's a big controversial discussion that I've seen multiple times on Facebook and other social media places, where somebody says, well, it's the band's responsibility to bring in the crowd. Well, it's not. It's the venue's responsibility to bring in the crowd. And that goes back to what Destiny was saying just a little while ago. I can't guarantee that I'm going to have 100 people in here for your show who don't know you. I mean, people don't want to pay a cover to go see a show that they don't know anything about. Right. There are some people, we do have some regular customers that we try to, when we put a show on our website, we try to add videos and a bio or a decent description of what this band may be about. And we try to help sell that band. You know what I mean?
It's a partnership.
And it is. It's a partnership.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people look at it that way. I think that we try to cater to a lot of the newer bands in Austin that are maybe just getting started. They may not understand it that way. You know what I mean? But it is. It should be a partnership.
In order for it to work, it has to be. I mean, it has to be a partnership. The artists have to do their part. The venue has to do their part. If both parties, do their best, then the outcome is generally favorable for everybody.
Right?
Involved.
Anything can happen, but you have to at least cover all the basics. Thank you all so much for being on the show. I'm going to have you back on later this month, and be sure to check out 1-to-1 down on South Lamar. They are one of the venues doing it right. We'll be right back after this message. HAM provides access to affordable healthcare for Austin's low-income working musicians, with a focus on prevention and wellness. Many Austin musicians are self-employed and have no access to health insurance or basic health care. They often work multiple jobs and struggle to pay for food, clothing, and shelter with nothing left for healthcare. That's where HAM comes in. By resolving challenges such as long-neglected dental work to hearing loss, heart problems, and depression, HAM and their partners improve and save musicians' lives and enhance Austin's economy and quality of life. Austin is the live music capital of the world, and they aim to keep it that way. HAM has helped over 5,300 musicians access over $73 million in healthcare value since they began in 2005. These include routine dental work, doctor visits and prescriptions, psychiatric counseling sessions, eye exams, outpatient procedures, specialist referrals, hearing screenings, and more. Find out more at ham.org. Hello and welcome to Daily Austin Music. My name is Colin McDonald and this is Damn Senior, Daily Austin Music single review. And today we're taking a listen to the new single Not Mine Anymore by Stephane Montgomery. Now this track starts off with a nice acoustic guitar, and about 45 seconds, things start to get pretty interesting. I love the major 3-chord transition, and then the bass drops. Around 1:10, the extra vocals and percussion, and an early kind of Coldplay lead guitar comes in with a nice counter melody. There's something cool going on in the second verse on the left speaker. I can't really tell what it is. I just know that I like it. There's a lot of subtlety in this, and it has a subtle, sweet aftertaste. You see what I did there? I really like the simplicity of this track, and the melody is catchy and the arrangement is really well thought out. I enjoyed the tight doubles in the vocals, but it may have gone on a little too long with the double chorus, and maybe should have just skipped to the double melody vocal ending at about that starts at about 3:15. Overall, this is a solid tune. Be sure to buy, share, and stream this music wherever you can. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the Damn Tonight Show every weekday live at 5 p.m. I'll see you tomorrow. The CobraCast podcast with Bobby Sharon is a must-listen in the Austin music community. With over 280 episodes so far, you can tune in to hear Austin musicians and the like share their stories and their music every Monday and Thursday live at 7:30. Check this one out anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as Facebook and YouTube Live. So, what do you really think? No, but like really. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh no, don't, because it's bad juju. I don't want to get the coronavirus.